find it? Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me again. Sorry I had to change from portrait to landscape, something that's pretty important to a fellow like me. Anyway, so here we are live on the Surface 604 range test for the COLT. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the microphone thing squared away here. If you can believe the ridiculousness of the production that we got going on, it's pretty good. So anyways, the Surface 604 is here. It's the COLT model, their cruiser model. I'm gonna be range testing that right now with you guys. And let me go grab the battery. The battery is just finishing charging up right now. Is Joey good? Did he get the link?
I'll message you.
Okay, so here's our deck full of chargers. You can tell it's super high-tech, scientific. Anyways, so we got the battery, and we're ready to go. All I gotta do is put some sunglasses on, clip on the bike, or clip the battery on the bike, and put the, what's it called? The camera, I'll get, put the camera on, good to go. All right, so let me, get this squared away. Not the easiest thing with one hand. I like the magnet ones. Anyways, so I'm here, Blue Monkey Bicycles is our bike shop. We do electric bikes, that's our specialty, especially doing lots of education on them, how they work, how they don't work. In this case, we're gonna do a little bit of both. We're gonna do a range test. We're gonna ride the Surface 604 COLT until it dies. We're just gonna go full blast, full pedal assist until the thing just stops and doesn't go anymore. So that way you can know with at least one example how far it would go. So I'm gonna do the best I can at this range test. I'll be yammering throughout it, so let me get this thing on. I need to walk up to a mirror so I can get this on. You're gonna see just how ridiculous this setup is. So, all right. So, here we have me in the mirror. I got a few straps and stuff like that to keep this camera in. You would think that I'd have something awesome, but nope, it's pretty rinky-dink. So I'll put that in there. It's kind of tough with this big, huge, what's it called? I need a third hand for all of this. Okay, there we go. All right, so now the camera is mounted to me. I can strap it on. I'm charging it, and I have that big fluffy thing on it to prevent wind noise from affecting it too much. So tighten that down, tighten these down. Tightening all this stuff is not exactly flattering on my physique, but what you gonna do? Hashtag e-bike belly. All right, so again, we're here live. We're about to start the test. Let's check in the back studio and see how things are going. Joey got the link, everything's good?
I believe so.
Awesome, all right. I hope, help Joey along. Joey is gonna be moderating the comments and stuff like that, so if you have any questions or if we lose the feed, count on Joey to get you back on the right track. He's going to call me on my phone that I have around my neck. So yeah, let's go ahead and start up the bike. And Dwayne's gonna snap our traditional picture, our obligatory picture as we go out. So here we are, starting the range test with our shop. Da-da-da-da. Oh, I want to do a portrait one. Or sorry, landscape. Yay! 3 cheers for electric bikes.
All good, Mike.
Awesome. Thank you much, Dwayne. All right, so. Hey! We got reconnected. Awesome. So, that's the first time I've ever had it successfully reconnect. We've been practicing the YouTube live stuff for a little bit, and hopefully we can get it going. The YouTube live stuff is really nice for folks in a studio with a very controlled environment, but truth be told, we're on the road. This is where the bikes get used, and that's where the internet isn't as great or something. Anyways, so we're gonna start up this test again. I'm not very far in. I'm maybe like, I don't know, a quarter of a mile at most or something like that. So we're gonna get this thing going. Allow me a second to try to get this microphone thing back onto the phone, and then we're gonna start up again. So, here we go. Let's see. This is what you tuned in for, huh? This is what you paid your hard-earned money to see, is some dude putting a cover on a. We want to see some guy's chin with a rubber band in his mouth. Well, so, anyways, all right. So here we go. Got the rubber band. We're set. Make sure we clear the buttons. All right. Boom. So, all right. I can't see it, but I trust everything's going well. I'll wait for another phone call if things go awry. So, here we are on the bike once again. Let's make sure, okay, looking around. I don't want to get hit. All right, so if you're just joining us again, I'm very happy that it reconnected without having to make another YouTube link or something, which is very much a possibility. If this thing loses connection, we might have to start another live video. And so this range test could go over the course of, gosh, who knows, like 4 or 5 videos or something like that if the YouTube thing doesn't work out. So anyways, like I said, it's a test. We're figuring it out for YouTube. But the purpose of all of this is to range test the Surface 604 COLT, which is the bike that I'm on right now. The Surface 604 COLT is a cruiser model that the company came up with, and the company's name is Surface 604, and the COLT is the name of the bike. Sometimes it gets a little confusing, you know, when you got a company with numbers and letters and stuff like that. And, you know, I never did figure out BMW because all their cars are numbers and letters. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe that's a marketing thing. But anyways, so here I am on the Surface 604 COLT in full blast pedal assist. Now, I've tested other electric bikes on full blast pedal assist, and they've done, gosh, like, you know, it's kind of all over the place. One of them did 13 miles. Another one did like close to 40 or something like that. So there's a pretty big range of realistically what you can expect from a bike with a 48 volt battery. You know, if you find something out there, it's like, oh, this bike has just a 48 volt battery. That's not really telling you a whole lot of information. It's kind of like, you know, I want to buy a pair of shoes, but you don't know what size they are. It might look very pretty, but if you don't know what size they are, it's not going to work out that great. But anyways, let me back up a little bit. So again, we are here on the range test for the Surface 604 electric bike on full blast pedal assist, which according to this display is number 6. There's different ways of programming it, so if you see this display on a different bike, it's going to perform pretty differently, I'm assuming. Anyways, we're here on State Street in Salt Lake City, Utah. Well, actually, I'm going to go through a few different townships because in Salt Lake, their towns are really tiny. So I'm probably like crossing over Murray and going into Kearns or something like that. But anyways, here I am in Salt Lake City on the road on the Surface 604 COLT doing a full blast range test to see how far it goes until the battery literally stops and I can't go anymore. Now, if you can believe it, I've done this test on a bunch of other bikes before, and I've actually ridden this bike until it died earlier this week. I was on the bike and the battery was low and it died on me, so I know how it behaves when it dies. I know what I'm looking for. And some bikes, actually, they die right on the spot. They go full power until they just don't anymore, like the Bosch system, for example. Other systems, they give you just less and less power until you just kind of give up. That happened on the Easy Motion, Easy Go bikes. It's like a big truck. Anyways, on the Easy Motion, Easy Go bikes, it gave less and less power as the battery went on. And finally, I had to just kind of stop at one point, not because the bike had shut down, but because I realized, you know what, like, I'm going 13 miles an hour and it claims it's giving me power. It was like, this is how fast I would go on a regular bike anyway. So this bike, as I'm riding it, would be no different from a conventional bike. Anyways, that was a test I did a long time ago. But for this bike, for the Surface 604, it pretty much does give out full power until it won't go anymore. So it's going to be pretty easy to tell you when this one will die, or when it did stop, as opposed to other ones. So I've been on this route many times. I've been on this bike a handful of times. So I know what I'm looking for, and you guys will be there with me, hopefully, and we don't lose the feed. You guys will be there with me while we do it. So this bike is the Surface 604 COLT, and we're doing a range test on it to see how far it goes.
It has a 48 volt, 10.4 amp hour battery located in the down tube. So there's a little bit of a look at it. So this is the battery here on the bike, right in the down tube, which is good for balance rather than having it, you know, way up here or even rattling around. Sometimes I've seen cases like this that are not very sturdy, but this Ring Chin case is really good. I know I've talked to the guys who make it. They're a good bunch of guys. Anyways, the Bafang hub motor in the back, along with the Bafang display, you know, it's pretty well equipped as a cruiser. It's got a nice comfy seat, you know, fenders. It's got lights that run off the main battery that you can control. Up here has a throttle, but I'm not going to use the throttle today because this is a pedal assist test. And the pedal assist is a torque-based pedal assist. If you look really closely, you can see the little TMM sensor down there. So that's what we're testing today, is full blast pedal assist on the Surface 604 COLT cruiser. I have it set up for myself. I put the seat up, I put the handlebars up to give it a good riding position. I got air in the tires. I got slime in the tires as well, because every now and again you come across, you know, a goat head or something like that, and or a nail. That's happened before. So I got a pump, I got a multi-tool. You know, we're all set. So a little bit more about the Surface 604 as a company. So Surface 604 is a company from our friends up north in Canada, in the BC. The company got their start a while ago with a fat tire bike. They call it the Boar. At the time, I'm not sure what they called it back in like 2013, but they actually asked us back then in 2013, like, hey, do you want to carry our fat tire bike? And I actually had a really bad experience with a couple of fat tire bikes, and that was the only bike they had at the time. And so I was like, you know, we're like, you know, maybe not today. So we kind of put the hold on that. But then Surface 604, they worked really hard to make a bunch of other bikes. They have a lineup of bikes right now, including the cruisers, the fat tire bike, and I want to say they have like a, what is it? They have a carbon fiber one too. It's still a little new to me. This is one of the newer bikes that we're bringing on into our store and have available for purchase online. So I'm still getting the hang of it. But anyways, they got a full lineup, or not a full lineup. They have a lineup of bikes, and they're growing that still. So we'll see what the company comes out with in the future. But right now, this is one of their better bikes. You know, one of their better equipped bikes, we'll say. It's more middle of the road. The carbon fiber's kind of a niche thing, you know, not for everyone. The fat tire bikes are really popular, but you know what? Truth be told, I'm not a big fan of fat tire bikes. You know, they haven't really impressed me, and that has nothing to do with 604. It's all about the tires, really. I don't really like the electric fat tire bikes from a lot of places, so hard for me to recommend. The other guys at the shop, they like it a little more than I do, and that's cool, you know, but hard for me. Anyways, enough about me. Let's talk about the bike itself. So the Surface 604 we're doing a range test on today, and for this range test we're just going to go till the battery dies completely. And let's see, I should probably, do I need to get over? Yeah, you're going to watch me make some decisions real time. Hopefully you watch me live through the whole thing. No, it's fine. I've done this test, you know, like I said, like 15-20 times. So that guy don't got no signal, and he's in a work truck, so hopefully he knows what he's doing. Anyway, so this is the Surface 604 COLT that I'm riding right now. It's a fun bike. Their cruiser model. Let's go. So this is their cruiser model that they have, one of two. The other one's a step through, but it has the same equipment otherwise, as far as I know. The bike has a 48 volt 10.4 amp hour battery, which I'm estimating is going to get somewhere around 20 to 30 miles of range, possibly more. That's my guess on this bike. It's set for a 20 mile an hour top speed, which is the federal limit for an electric bike under its own power, and you know, you can read more about the wording elsewhere. But also I had it set for miles per hour because when we got it, it was set for Canadian kilometers. That's the same kind of kilometers everywhere else, but I'm just kidding. But so if you get yours in, then there's a good chance you'll have to switch it from kilometers to miles, which in the future I should probably make a video describing how to do that. So looks like we're going to come up to a stop sign here. maybe I can get off the bike and show you a little bit more about it in a way. So this bike as it stands today, which is June 2nd, 2017, this light is not going to be very long, but I just want to show you one thing. Hydraulic disc brakes I really like. There's also, oh no, let's go. All right, little hiccup, but we're gonna get this going. Boom. Well, there's a good chance. Y'all still with me? Yeah, there we go. Y'all still with me? Okay. All right, so you guys are still with me. I can see you. Thank you for being so supportive. We're gonna put this back onto the little mechanism. I really need to get a better mechanism for this. And then we're gonna get back on the road and you'll hear me talk about the bike and stuff like that. So, all right, we're good. All right, so that Ford Flex is gonna go. And now I'm gonna go make sure the homeboy knows I'm coming. Boom, all right, back on the beat. So, I wanted to point out the hydraulic disc brakes because that's something I really enjoy. There's other electric bikes that I try to have mechanical disc brakes, and those are really easy to work on. I like to repair them, but as far as actually riding them, I really prefer the hydraulic disc brakes. They're a lot of fun, especially if you have a bike that's heavy or a bike that's going fast, which an electric bike is usually both of those. So yeah, I like those. The more stopping power you can have, the better. But if you live somewhere far away, then you might have to service them on your own or find a shop that may not have specialty training and that sort of stuff. But anyways, enough about bike stuff. Let's talk about electric stuff. So this is the Surface 604 COLT, and we're on a range test on it to see how far the bike will go until the battery dies, which, by the way, if you're watching this entirety of the live event, you're going to hear me say that all the time for all the newcomers coming into the video. So anyways, we're going to ride it until it dies out. I'm just going to go up and down State Street here. Make sure this guy sees me because it's a narrow pass right here. I'm going up and down State Street here. I'm going down to about the 10-mile mark away from our shop. Then I'm going to turn around and come back. So this honestly is the scariest part that I just passed, but there's a truck behind me who made eye contact and sees me, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to move over so he can get by. Or is he turning? Oh no, he's turning. Cool. So worked out for both of us. Anyways, so here I am going up and down State Street in Salt Lake City, Utah to do this range test to see how far this bike will go until it dies. And I'm not sure what it'll do. I've ridden this bike before, but I've never had the chance of, and I've killed it before, meaning I rode it until the battery died, but I didn't have the chance to do that from a full battery. I just rode it one time after some of the other guys had tried it out, and I just got the short straw, and it died when I was out. So I'm not sure what it's going to do. I'm estimating, based on its performance, somewhere around 20 to 30 miles, and I'm probably going to run out of breath by then. By the end, I'm going to be talking a little less and spacing out my wording like a very careful law student. Anyways, so this bike, the Surface 604 COLT that we're doing the range test on right now, is one of their cruiser models, one of two. They have this and they have the Rook. The COLT is a step over, just as part of the frame, and the Rook is the step through, and that's really the only difference. The battery's the same, the motor's the same, the gearing, etc., all that's the same. So if you like one over the other and you can't decide, that's really the only thing you need to consider is how you're going to sit on the bike. All the rest of the specs are just, one to the other. So anyways, we are, where are we right now? Midvale, I think? Yeah, Midvale City. So if you can believe it, I've crossed over a city border already over the course of this range test, and I'm maybe 5 miles out, maybe, somewhere around there. No, not quite that, maybe 4 miles out, but I'm 4 miles out and I've already crossed through one township, and I'm going to get to another one, I'm sure. I'm going to go into Draper, maybe Sandy? I don't know. Since I ride a bike everywhere, I don't get to know the greater broad area, 10 miles, 15 miles away all that well. I know the the route between work and home, a tube, very, very well. Anyways, So at Blue Monkey Bicycles, we like to do range tests, such as you're seeing right now. We're range testing the Surface 604 Colt to see how far it goes until it dies. And this is intended to be one real-world example that you can use when making your decision for what electric bike you want to get. So this is not intended to be, you know, the end-all authority. You know, we know how far they go. We test them one time and then that's it. Hope you like it. This is just an example. So, you know, take it for what it's worth. It's worth a lot, but it's not the, you know, it's not the final word. So we're range testing this bike to see how far it goes. This is not the only bike we've done. We've actually done quite a few other ones. We've done Pedigo bikes of various battery sizes. We've done Easy Motions likewise, high bikes with the Bosch system a couple times, Yamaha system, Shimano, hub drives, mid drives, you know, scooters even. On one occasion we actually range tested a Yike bike, which was hilarious. If you've never seen the Yike bike, that is easily the most outside the box bicycle I've ever seen or tried. It's cool for that. It's exorbitantly expensive, but it's awesome. So anyways, also it's not terribly practical, but anyways, it's super cool. But we're out here for the Yike bike. We're just here on the range test for the Surface 604 Colt, which is a really good cruiser from Surface 604. So I can tell you a little bit more about the company. All right. So I can tell you a little bit more about the company, Surface 604. The 604 part came from their area code up in that area. I got a telephone call from them, and the area code was 604. I pick up the phone, I'm thinking, 604? I was like, where's that from? I answer, I was like, hey, Mikey at Blue Monkey Bicycles. The guy's like, hey, this is Sam from Surface 604. I was like, oh, you stinker. 604, it all makes sense now. So anyways, Surface 604 is the area code up in BC for where their company is located, up there. And so from what I understand, it's a beautiful place, mountains, you know, lakes, a beach for all I know. I don't really know the geography all that well. I've only heard a couple of things from postcards and, you know, a couple of emails back and forth, but gorgeous place from what I understand. And it makes sense. If you ever see any of their videos, they got some gorgeous videos. They have like windsurfing and it's like some paddleboarding of some kind, some rivers and stuff like that that are going in. So lots of beautiful things. I'd love to be able to film stuff up there because Utah has some diversity too, but sometimes I feel like I've exhausted it, or maybe I just haven't found it yet. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting tired of Utah. I don't know. I love Utah. It's a great place. But anyway, Surface 604 is from up north there, where they wear toques, and they have lots of things to talk about. But anyways, they got their start a few years ago with a fat tire bike that, for my own personal bias, I'm not a big fan of fat tire bikes. And then they started coming out with other bikes, such as this one, the Colt. And this one is a great bike, but the best thing about it, I haven't even talked about yet. So this bike has a 48 volt, 10.4 amp hour battery with a torque sensing pedal assist, throttle as well, fully equipped with all sorts of very comfortable things, a good seat, excuse me, a good seat, lights, fenders, rack, a lot of other subtleties in it, you know, such as the grips or whatever. Good set of brakes, you know, decent set of shifting gear, or decent indexer for the shifter and stuff like that. All of this stuff is meant to compete with a bike that's somewhere around $3,000. This bike, as I'm riding it right now, sells for $1,899. So that's a really big price difference. Really big price difference. You know what? Now that I think about it, I do the, as you can imagine, I do the videos and stuff like that here, so I don't do the ordering and stuff. So perhaps there's a U.S. currency exchange or something like that in the mix. But anyways, it's going to be pretty darn close. So $18.99 for a bike like this is really great, but it gets better. And the better part about that is customer support. So we've seen crappy bikes before, not crappy, sorry. We've seen lower price point bikes that wind up being really crappy because the company is impossible to get a hold of, and they don't care about their image or anything. They make a cheap bike, they sell it, and then they move on. So if you get a bike that feels good, I mean, it's going to be fun for you for a while. But as soon as you need some help, as soon as you have to, get the back wheel off, or if the battery doesn't perform as well, or any number of things like that, the company's nowhere to be found. So even if you get a cool bike for a cheap price, is it really a value if you can only use it for one summer or maybe less? So anyways, to kind of briefly reiterate, because I'm not sure if the wind was too fierce for my microphone windscreen. Anyway, Surface 604 actually cares about their customers. They actually care about their company image, their product, service, things like that, which is honestly hard to come by for lower price point bikes that are below $2,000 is what I'm talking about. So there are other electric bikes out there for lower than $2,000. I haven't gotten a hold of them, but Surface 604 has really risen to the top of that marketplace. So for example, a high bike, which they start at like $2,500, but most people get one for like $3,500, somewhere around there. A high bike is meant for a totally different purpose. A high bike is meant for someone who's really, I'm totally gonna run this. By the way, if you didn't know, if you need something else to criticize me about, as if you did, running red lights is just a thing in Salt Lake City. Like, people just do it. Like what I did back there. I would never dream of doing that back home in Portland, Oregon. They got cameras, and if a cop saw that, they'd pull you over. But dude, here in Salt Lake, people just run red lights. It's just the way it is, Do I like it? No. But after living here for so many years, I've kind of assimilated. So anyways, back to the service for Surface 604, which is really good. They actually answer their telephone, which is surprisingly rare, especially, like I said, for a company selling a bicycle that's at a lower price point. Because hey, let's face it, there's other bike companies that do the same thing. I can highly recommend lots of other companies that will answer their phone and have just rabid customer service that's just above reproach. But those companies are selling pretty expensive bikes, and that's the value that they have for their total package. You're not only buying a bike, but you're also buying the comfort of knowing that you can get help when you need it, that you're not going to be stranded somewhere, and when you call up the company and say, hey, my motor's making a funny noise, and they just say, well, sucks to be you. We have seen that from other companies with other products, but Surface 604 has built a very good reputation, just like some of the other bigger companies, to support their customers, which is amazing, really amazing. So one thing I did want to talk about that I stopped on the red light is high bike. So high bike makes excellent bikes. They're some of my favorite electric mountain bikes. But you know what? That's not for everyone. I don't ride a high bike as my daily commuter. I ride a hub drive motor, 48 volts, something like that. That high bike has neither of those. And a high bike is an excellent bike, but that's a totally different game, totally different ball game. A fellow who's interested in a high bike might be curious. Yeah, I'm running this too. Boom! That was crimson red. That was very red, but I want to keep going. Anyways, every now and again you run a pink light, a light that's red, and then you barely miss it, or a light that's yellow and you barely miss it. So it's like in between yellow and red. So pink is what my dad called it. Oh, that's a pink light. I didn't run a red light, I ran a pink light. But that one, there's no way around it. That was crimson red. So I just broke the law. If you want, you can call a police officer. I'm heading to Draper, so you can say, hey, there's a dude on a bicycle. He's going down to Draper, and he just ran a red light. You can go call the Draper Police Department or something like that and tattle on me. And you know what they're going to do? I'm assuming they're going to do nothing about it because it's, like I said, it's so common. Anyways, so enough about that. Let's talk about the bike. So the bike that I'm sitting on, the Surface 604 COLT, is what I'm doing the range test on today, right now. So hopefully you were able to figure that out from the title of the video, which is live Surface 604 range test. So this is the COLT. You're probably not going to see the same results out of, say, the carbon fiber or the Yun bike or the C1 or whatever it's called. That one's got a totally different setup. So even though I called it Surface 604, you're not going to get the same results out of each bike. And moreover, the results are going to be a little bit different. because I'm riding on this road at my cadence with my legs and my habits and this terrain and all these stoplights and everything like that. So your route is going to be very different hills, stuff like that. So you already saw me go up a hill and down a hill before. So there is a hill, at least one. There is one, sizable hill on this route. It's nothing quite like, those hills up in the mountains. Those are a different story. But anyways, there are hills, there's stoplights, there's, this kind of area has a little bit of gravel on it and stuff like that. So it's not all terrain, not by a long shot, but there is some variance to it. It's not perfectly smooth, flat ground, perfect conditions, no wind kind of thing. I'd love it if I could figure that out, but I don't have that fancy of equipment. I don't even know if I could find that fancy of equipment. Anyway, so the Surface 604 COLT is one of their cruiser bikes. If you're just joining us, we're doing the range test on it. I got all geared up to do this. And this route I've done before, several other times, with other electric bikes. And we're going to see how far it goes until it dies. This model, the COLT, has the 500 watt hub drive in the rear wheel, and the 48 volt 10.4 amp hour battery. All right, this part's going to get tricky because you got tons of people making a right turn, and I got to stay right. I'm sneaking it. There we go. Boom. All right. Oh, I think I hear a siren. Are they coming for me? Anyways, so we're getting close to the turnaround point, which is 10 miles away. So I totally got that light, by the way. That's perfectly fine. Anyways, we're getting closer to the turnaround point. After the bottom of this hill, we're going to make a little turn into a really goofy intersection. I'm going to go down to the Ramada Inn, turn around and come back. That's not product placement. It just happens to be the exact 10 mile turnaround point from our store. So anyways, so the Surface 604 COLT is their cruiser model. It has some good features that are meant for the casual, but still kind of commuter sort of rider. Someone who really wants the power has a 48 volt 10 amp hour battery, 500 watt motor, which is really good for doing that. It's got plenty of guts to do, what the average guy wants, or not even average guy, what the electric bike buyer wants. So it's got plenty of that for power. It's also very comfortable, and a lot of that comes from the bike parts. So yes, it's very gutsy, yes, it's very powerful, but the touch points are where you're going to see most of the comfort come from. Things like the grips have a little bit of something on there for the heel of your hand to rest on to avoid strains or something like that. I'm not a doctor, I don't know what that's called, but there's muscles there. But anyways, it also has a cushy seat. Oh yeah, I really shouldn't run that. I probably could have, but maybe that's my. I ran enough. I shouldn't push my luck. Anyways, has some other good comfortable things about it. Big cushy tires. They're not fat tires, because if they were, I probably wouldn't like this bike by default. But anyways, it's got cushy tires, 26 inch diameter by 2 inch width. Those tires help out with a lot of the ride. The cushy seat help out with the ride. But you know what? It's not all that far out. There are other bikes out there that are super comfy. That's almost in some ways it's. A lot of people say, oh, this is too much. Like, I like comfortable, but that's a little too comfortable, if you know what I mean. Bikes like that have like the handlebars that come all the way back to like the hips, so you feel like you're steering a bus. The seat's super wide, so pedaling is not as easy of a movement on a bike like that. But this bike is right in the middle there, so it's comfortable, but it's not like over the top comfortable. And hey, some people want one, some people want the other. So, and I myself like it the way it is. The super comfortable bikes are not easy to pedal because the seat kind of gets in the way. But anyways, so this bike, the Surface 604 COLT, that we're doing a range test on right now, and hopefully you can hear me because I think the wind is against me, and we got the freeway there, we got a high-speed road here. So anyways, hope this is all getting through. The Surface 604 COLT we're doing a range test on right now. We're approaching the turnaround point which is 10 miles away from the shop, Blue Monkey Bicycles, which is our store. And we're going to see how far it goes until it dies. We're going to go all the way down to 10 miles out. We're going to go up to about 6 miles away to downtown Salt Lake. Here's my chance to get out in traffic. Anyways, we're going to go into downtown a little bit. We're going to turn around towards downtown and then come back down south once again. So if you're curious, you can Google Earth the route and see the elevation change and stuff like that. There might be a way for me to copy paste that and send it to you if you're curious, or put up something on a website. I don't know. I never tried to distribute this technical information before. I just kind of have it laying around on my computer. So anyways, this is a pretty long light. Let's see what we can get out of it. So, all right, once again, this is the Surface 604 COLT. It's a great electric bike with a really great price point. $18.99 for a bike like this with a 48 volt, 10.4 amp hour battery, 500 watt rear hub drive motor, and a lot of cool cruiser stuff to boot. The cushy seat, handlebars that come back just a little bit, not too much. Nice wide tires, front shock. I can't believe I forgot about that. Lights that, of course, we're not using at the moment. Oh, time to get going. All right, so all that sort of stuff. Great bike. Right now, I am approaching the 10-mile mark, so I can tell you with confidence that this bike will do 10 miles because you've been with me on the trip. So if your commute is less than 10 miles and you're worried about it doing that, then, well, proof is in the pudding. Here you go. I think I pulled a muscle in one of my toes. It's odd. Anyways, I don't want to make this too Turbo Bob style. Shout out to Turbo Bob. I love Turbo Bob. He's a funny guy, and I've become him. Anyways, so the Surface 604 COLT that we're range testing right now, I can tell you with confidence, and you can too, that the bike can do 10 miles because I'm approaching the 10-mile mark. That red Ramada Inn over there is 10 miles away from the shop, and the battery bar is fine. I would be surprised if this bike did not do 20 at this point. So we got one car behind me. Go ahead. It's cool. I gotcha. All right, so. And I'll just coast for this part here. All right, so I wonder if the people working here have seen me do this before. So, go ahead and pull this off. Get it. So, all right. Hello again, everybody. This is Mikey of Blue Monkey Bicycles. We're doing a range test on the Surface 604 COLT. We're about 10 miles out right now. The bike can do 10 miles, I can tell you that with confidence because we just did it right here for this event. We're 10 miles out away from the store, and I'm going to turn around and head back and do the same route, just in reverse. And so the purpose of that is to mitigate the hills and the wind. I'm going uphill, I'm going downhill. It's going to be equal each way. So that's the idea with it. So anyways, we're going to jump back on the bike. We're going to head out. I'm glad that it's working. I'm not sure what my battery level is, but I got it hooked up. I don't know if you can see this little cord that I got right in here. Got it hooked up to a little power supply, so we're going to keep it rocking. So anyways, let me just clip this back onto the little mount, and we're going to go ahead and get going. All right, so let's see. And you get it? You got it? Nope. Oh my goodness. I would cringe at something like this. I do a lot of video stuff, as you can imagine, and this whole live event thing, it's really cool. But by golly, it's all the things that I've learned about trying to make it look slick, make it look professional and stuff like that, is really starting to come back. So, all right, I'm encountering a lot of wind on the way back. I didn't realize how much in my favor the wind was until I turned around. And like I said before, hopefully you can hear me. Like I said before, we go one way, we turn around and come back the exact opposite way. And part of that is to mitigate the effects of the wind. So the bike already did 10 miles and the battery bar was more or less full at the end of 10 miles. And, excuse me, the battery bar was full at the end of 10 miles when I just got there and turned around. But that's one reason why is because the wind was with me, right? The wind was blowing on my back and helping me along. And so now that I'm turning around, the wind is going to be against me. So all the advantage that I had on the way here is going to be countered by the disadvantage on the way back. So anyways, that's just one little thing that we thought about when we were organizing our range test years ago, actually, is when we did the first one. So anyways, on this range test for the Surface 604 COLT, we are going to go until the battery dies. I hope this guy doesn't want to turn. He's probably nervous with me hanging around there, and I totally get that. Anyways, we're doing the Surface 604 COLT range test right now live, so you can see how far the bike will go under real world conditions. And so, you know, if the wind seems really strong in the microphone or something, and you think, well, that's compromising the test, it's like, well, you know, the test it's not exactly scientific. You know, this is a real world example, and there are real world things that you really can't even out, if that makes sense. If I did this same test tomorrow, the results are going to be a little bit off because of wind, because of traffic, things like that. So again, this is just one real world example so that you can know with confidence, like, okay, the bike, at least in those conditions, was able to do that, so I should be good, you know, things like that. So anyways, so Surface 604, if you didn't know, is a Canadian company, rabid about their customer service, with a really good bike for an even better price point, is what you're getting at. So, is this guy gonna get me? Nope, thank you. All right, that guy almost got me. Well, he was positioned to do so. Anyways, a Surface 604 is the name of the company. The COLT is the name of the bike. The Surface 604 is a great company out of Canada with electric bikes that they're very passionate about servicing and providing for people at a price point that doesn't break the bank. So you might be asking yourself, is it too good to be true? Well, if you intend to spend $1,899 on a bike, then it doesn't sound too good to be true to me. Because honestly, you know, a lot of people expect to pay a couple $100 for a bike. That's what you can get at some of the big box stores. You can get a conventional bicycle with no motor or something like that for a couple $100. Someone rides it around, you know, a handful of times in the cul-de-sac at summer, and that's it. And that's what a lot of Americans, at least, not so much for Europeans, but that's how Americans see bikes. That's the culture that we grow up in. A bicycle to us is like culturally, not me in particular, but a bicycle is like a frisbee. You know, it's something that's intended to be fun, you know, casual, disposable in a way. And so to have a bicycle, an electric bike, quality one that is thousands of dollars, like, it's a new thing that people aren't accustomed to. People aren't accustomed to using a bicycle as transportation. Americans aren't accustomed to using a bicycle for transportation. Americans aren't accustomed to using a bicycle in, even for shorter trips around. But the advent of the electric bicycle is bringing more people into that, myself included. I rode a conventional bike during college and during other times of my life, but would I ride a bicycle to work back and forth every day if it wasn't electric? I mean, honestly, I don't think I would. You know, I like to think that I'm in some kind of shape, but truth be told, the electric system just changes everything for me. And without it, I would not be a cyclist at all. So that's the hard part that we're fighting here. Not fighting, but like, that's something that we're trying to change here in America, is the perception of a bicycle as a toy. You know, because we grow up with them as toys, and that's it. You know, grown-ups drive cars, and that's the way it is culturally. So the electric bike is changing that. But does that mean that, you know, your average guy is ready to go out and spend a few $1,000s on a bike to start driving it to work back and forth? And the answer, in a lot of ways, is no, not really. They have to be shown how to do it. They have to be shown, you know, the limitations of the bike, what to do with it, how to use it, where to ride. You know, the roads here in Salt Lake, for example, there's some good ones. I'm on a pretty bad one, truth be told. But they have to, you know, they have to be shown how to do it. It's a totally new thing, and it's very intimidating to a lot of people. And the price point is part of that. When someone gets curious, some average guy gets curious about an electric bike, and he sees like like some of the really expensive ones, like the Stromer or the Stealth Bomber or the Opti bike or whatever. Three very, very different bikes for very different purposes. But nonetheless, these bikes are very popular and very expensive. And because of that, that can put a pretty that has some sticker shock, where the average guy who sees a bike as a toy, wanting to get into cycling of any kind, whether it's commuting or mountain biking or something like that, has a fair amount of sticker shock when seeing something like that. And so the lower the price point we can get for a quality bike, the more people are going to start cycling electrically. And that's a hard position to be in, because there's cheap crap bikes out there that don't last very long at all, and they really should be a neighborhood toy for a kid to use around the cul-de-sac. That's what should be used. And it stinks that a grown man will be like, oh yeah, I can use that thing to get back and forth to work. They do it a couple times, it breaks down, stuff like that. So right now the market is it's still, a lot of people say in the early adopter phase. I'm pretty sure it's out of that phase by now. But let's go ahead and come to a full and complete stop. All right. Anyways, that's what we're fighting right now, or that's what we've been changing over time, I should say, is that a lot of people see a bicycle as a toy, when really it's a very, very useful, powerful tool, a new tool that lots of people can use for just about anything, really. Excuse me. I talk about all this stuff about trying to change people's way of thinking. I really need to change my hay fever. Goodness. Anyways, so let's back it all up again. The Surface 604 is a very good gateway to accomplish that. Your average guy who's looking for electric bikes gets a lot of sticker shock. That's the way it is, for a lot of the bikes that are out there. For a good company with good rapport and a good, track record, and with some quality parts, et cetera, et cetera. They're a lot of money for something like that, and especially in comparison to the toys. So the Surface 604 fits a good spot, because the price is significantly lower to its competition, and the parts that are used on the bike are perfectly acceptable, right? So it doesn't have, like some of the newer stuff, like it doesn't have, like a smartphone integration or something like that. Some of the other whiz-bang kind of things that are really cool, but really up to date as well. And so this bike uses some proven parts, such as the hub motor, to get the job done. And because it's using some of those parts, they can offer it at a lower price point, and it's a really good value. As far as value is concerned, like total overall value for the bicycle that you're getting, I think Surface 604 has a really great offer. Some other companies have other things to offer. For example, my personal bike is an easy motion bike, and I love the way it looks. By golly, it's beautiful. So that's what you get. You're going for different things. But anyways, to back it up again, the Surface 604, this bike, the COLT, at its price point, is really, really amazing. It can get more people into electric bikes that otherwise wouldn't, because people are afraid to spend a lot of money on something that they're not going to get any support for later on. And that's a big part of the risk for getting a new product at all, even for something like Google Glass or something like that. You don't want to spend money on something that's going to blow up in your face a little bit down the road, and people prepare themselves for buyer's remorse, that kind of thing. But the Surface 604, like I said, offers a great value for a really good price. Hopefully this guy sees me. Cool. The Surface 604 has a really good value for the bicycle, a really good price, really good. And so I'm really excited to have this in our shop. I'm excited to be test riding it right now, because this is a bike that we're really happy to see get out there. We have a lot of people asking us for a bike that more or less fits these parameters. And for a while, especially back in 2013, it was like, it's hard to recommend something like, it's hard to recommend something like that, because we haven't seen a whole lot of things like that with a really good proven track record. That's the hard part, is it takes a long time. It takes years in some cases for products to hit retail shelves, especially on a big scale. Ooh, there we go. Especially on a big scale, because they got to be tested. They have to be vetted in a way. If we brought on every startup electric bike company, I'm sure there's going to be a good one in there, but we don't want to get burned on all the ones that aren't, because there's plenty that aren't. anyways, so to once again tell you how things are going, this is the Surface 604 COLT range test. And if you've been tuning in recently, you heard me go on a big rant about the greater sense of the electric bike industry, how this translates to the apprehensive buyer, and why the Surface 604 COLT, in this case, would be a good one to consider, a good one to try out. So, all right, I'm gonna make that. All right, so anyways, so that's what I've been talking about. But what we're doing right now is a live range test. So you can see how far this bike will go, and you're gonna find out at the same time I do. Already I've been on this test for a little while. I'm probably, somewhere around 13 miles or so. Actually, no, 13 miles is up there. I'm pretty close, but not quite to 13. We're on this range test that I've done a lot of other electric bikes on this same route before. So you'll be able to compare this to the other bikes that I've tested, such as the Bosch system, Yamaha, Pedigo, Easy Motion, Shimano, and some other bikes too, plenty of other ones. So e-Pargy is one of them. So anyways, that's what we're doing right now, is a range test to see how far it goes till the battery dies. And then when the battery dies, I'm going to give my guess as to how far that is, but I have to go back to the computer and go to Google Earth and punch in the exact route and find out exactly where it died. So the final results, of course, I'll have in the description below after this live video is done. And that will be how far that we were able to go on this test. And if you have the patience for it, you can watch the entire thing and see, and see the excitement on my face as it does it. So, anyways, so the 13-mile mark is almost to the top of that hill over there by the high school. I took another bike out there, and that's where it died. That was the Pedigo 36 volt 10 amp hour battery died around there. So, which, by the way, the 36 volt batteries don't do as well on hills. Hills really eat it up pretty quick. So something to keep in mind. If there were no hills and it was just flat, then the 36 volt and the 48 volt, they'd be more comparable. But with the addition of hills, and likewise the programming on the controller, et cetera, then the results get skewed a little bit. So anyways, I have absolutely no doubt that the Surface 604 will tackle the hill just fine. So I've had it in full blast pedal assist the entire time from the time that I left the store, probably getting close to an hour ago, maybe more. Yeah, so full blast pedal assist the whole time. I have not used the throttle on this test. If there's a big enough buzz, then I will. I'll try this exact same test with this bike on the throttle. So anyways, this is about the 13-mile mark, somewhere around here. So I can tell you with confidence, this bike will do 13 miles. No problem. So anyways, looks like the battery display is a couple bars down. But you want to know my little industry secret? You want to know a little something that I've learned in my time in the electric bike industry that no company is going to tell you? I should say no manufacturer. Like, Surface 604 won't even tell you. Pedigo won't even tell you. Bosch won't tell you this. Yamaha won't tell you this. Nobody's going to admit it, but it's true. And the fact is that the battery display is quite inaccurate. And that's like a science thing, like it has very little to do with the company. It's not like Bosch figured it out and Yamaha didn't. Like, it's just like with electrically, the bike, like this display is trying to read voltage as the voltage is being pulled out from the bike. So it's kind of like filling up a measuring cup. You fill it up exactly to like one cup or whatever, and then you turn around and you show it to someone else and you say, how much water is in this? And you shake it. So the water is going back and forth across the measuring cup. And someone looks at it and they're like, I don't know. They shrug their shoulders and they say, maybe a cup. So that's kind of like, in so few words, that's kind of like what's happening with the display. So it has nothing to do with Surface 604, it's just the way it is. And so if you see a battery bar that goes really, really low when you first get on and pull the throttle. That's actually normal. It's not messing up. That doesn't mean that you have 10 feet of bike range. That's actually how they behave under normal or common conditions, I'll say. The battery displays, they're as accurate as they can get. You know, they do a pretty good job in a general sense. But the Bosch system, for example, has a little guessometer to say, oh, you got like 10 miles left, or you got like 5 miles left. That thing doesn't work. I can tell you that from experience. If you see a general battery display like this, then that's going to give you a general idea. It's good. You know, don't freak out. It's not useless. But if you rely on it to the T, like, oh, I did 10 miles on 2 battery bars, that means, you know, that if I have 3 more bars left, that means I'm going to go about 15 miles or something. It's not that exact. It really isn't. And especially if you have something that's trying to count how many miles you have left on your route, there's no possible way for the bike to know the terrain that you're going to encounter at all, or the cadence that you're going to keep, the wind, and a day like this. So it's a guess. You know, in the Nissan Leaf, they call it the guessometer, and that's an electric car that has a more sophisticated system. But nonetheless, they call it a guessometer in that. And so I guess that's my little secret. So, you know, hopefully you don't go blabbering to everybody, but that's my little industry secret, is that the battery display is really a guessometer. It's not all that accurate for anyone, really. Anyways, I'm getting way off topic. The topic at hand is the Surface 604 range test that we're doing right now. So the Surface 604 COLT is the bike that I'm on right now, and that's the bike that we're range testing. I've been out for a little over an hour by now. I don't have my watch with me, but I've been out for a little over an hour, and the bike has done probably 14-15 miles by this point already. And the battery bar, as I just finished saying how inaccurate it was, the battery bar is still showing a pretty good charge. So I'm anticipating, you know, 20 miles out of this at least, you know, very well close to 30, and possibly more. We'll see what happens. I'm in full blast pedal assist right now. I'm not using the throttle for this test. And the purpose of it is to show how far this bike will go until the bike dies and just stops. So I should specify that the bike doesn't stop, the electric system does. So it's not going to throw me off the bike or melt or anything like that. Just the electric system will stop helping, and it's going to feel very, very heavy. And that's what I'm going to encounter. So anyways, that's the range test that we're on right now with this bike, testing it out. And we've done this test with other bikes before. So once we have the results of this test in, because as you can see, we're not done yet. Once we have the results of this test in, we'll put that on our website, and you can compare that with other bikes of other brands and stuff like that. And one thing to note is that this is an independent test. This test is not paid for by Surface 604. We bought this bike, you know, with money. We bought this bike from Surface 604. They didn't send it to us. You know, they're not paying us in any way. This is completely independent. So honestly, I can tell you, you know, with experience, what this bike will do. And well, you know, if I want to be mean about it, there's nothing they can do about it. Anyways, but no, I don't want to be that mean. Surface 604 is a great company. The folks that I've talked to over there so far have been really great. They've been very responsive. They've been very passionate about customer service, especially, but their bikes as well. You know, these bikes are a really good value bike, and I don't mean that to say like, oh, they're cheap or they're junk, because I've done cheap and I've done junk before. Like, I've been on those bikes and they stink, and I'm not afraid to say it. This bike is a good value. This bike is a good bike. I can tell you that so far, because I've got, like I said, somewhere around 15 miles on it as you've been able to watch me. And the bike is really good. I guess now would be a good time to actually give the bike a little bit of a kind of a precursor review. You know, and the other reviews, I take my time, I script it out. You know, I show some of the things that we see after longer periods of use. But I can tell you what I think of it right now. The bike is really fun, like an electric bike should be. And so it is an electric bike. It's very fun. It's very fast. It can go a lot of other places, or I should say, you can go a lot of places with an electric bike such as this you never would have gone before. People routinely go on an electric bike like this one on a test ride, and they'll go out for a couple of miles and come back. We'll look at the odometer and we'll tell them, hey, yo, you just went out for like 2 miles. I'm like, oh my gosh, that felt like I haven't done a 2 mile bike ride in years. You know, they feel very accomplished. And so this bike is all of that. It is a really fun, really peppy electric bike. So the top speed, as I have it set here, is 20 miles an hour. Boy, the wind is picking up. I hope you can hear me still. Anyways, the top speed on this bike is 20 miles an hour, which is part of the federal limitation for an electric bike in America for a bike under its own power. And if you want, you can read the wording of the law elsewhere. I don't know it off the top of my head. This part's a little scary. I got to make sure people see me. So this is the hardest part of the whole test, is this little bridge right here. So once I get through it, I'll feel a little better. Okay. Because you got people speeding up to turn on this neighborhood street. I don't know why. It's a pretty slow street, but whatever. Okay, so out of the woods. Anyways, I was talking about the Surface 604 to kind of do a review. This bike is everything an electric bike is when you read about how fun they are, how amazing they are. So it has, let me jump off the bike real quick. It has the really powerful hub motor, 48-volt battery, a really, slick, comfy setup here for the frame and all the components and everything like that. It really is a great bike. So when you read about stuff like any electric bike will do this, any electric bike will do that, a lot of that applies to the Surface 604. You're not going to compromise a lot. You have pedal assist, you have a throttle, you have a lot of power at your disposal. You can fine tune how much help you want from it if you want to get a workout. So a lot of the stuff that you hear praised about electric bikes very much applies to this bike and all of the equipment that it has on it. But specific things about this bike is this bike has a really good pickup on it. It feels pretty gutsy. The 48-volt battery with the 500-watt motor is a pretty good combo. I tried it on a lot of other bikes, and it's fun every time. You're not going to feel like you're lacking some power unless you're used to motorcycles. If you're used to motorcycles, then yeah, this is going to feel like a bike. But anyways, compared to a bicycle, it's awesome. It is so much fun. When you jump on the bike and you press on the pedals, it gets up to go. And a big part of that is the torque sensing pedal assist that you see on this bike here. So a lot of electric bikes have a pedal assist feature called cadence based, which is almost like rotation based, if you want to think of it that way. Like it will help you out when you pedal, but it's counting the rotations of the pedals. And if you are pedaling and that little counter is going really fast, it's going to give you power based on that. Whereas on this bike here, it has a torque-based pedal assist system. So it gives out power, but the power is engaged by putting tension on the pedals. So the more force you're putting down on the pedals, the easier it is for that torque sensor to recognize you need help, and off you go. And so the result of that, it might sound, a little bit weird, but the result of that is that when you jump on the bike and you press down really hard, boom, off you go. Just like a regular bike, when you press really hard on the pedals, it'll let you go, based on how much pressure you're putting on it. On the other hand, when you go really lightweight, when you're just pedaling, in a little coast or something like that, say down a hill, then it won't give you any help because it's recognizing, hey, this guy's pedaling really easy, he doesn't need any help, obviously. So those features together make this a really, really fun electric bike. The 48-volt 10.4 amp hour battery, I've seen batteries very similar to that, and it's actually very similar to the bike that I ride myself every day. Mine's a little older, it's a 48-volt 9 amp hour battery, but very, very close. Let's see, do I got time? I got time. Let me show you this side. So here's the other side of the electric bike. I don't know if you've seen this side yet. It has the chain guard on it. I'm looking at the lights. I'm a little like a fish in a barrel kind of thing. Oh, nope, not yet. Anyways, so they got the chain guard on this side. You can see over here, this is the little attachment point for the fenders with the shock up here. I haven't talked about the shock too terribly much. Adjustable stem. I think I gotta go. Lots of fun stuff on this bike. You're getting a lot of value out of it. You're getting a lot of great stuff from the bicycle, which is great. Really great. So a big part of Surface 604 actually isn't as much as the bike as it is the price point. Let's face it. This bike is really great. A bike like this, if you didn't have a name brand on this and you showed this bike to me 2 years ago, I would have said, oh yeah, that bike should sell for somewhere around 3,000, probably a little bit more, right? And they did. Holy moly. Okay, that guy's close. Anyways, if you showed me this bike if you showed me this bike a couple years ago, I would have said, oh yeah, that bike will sell for somewhere a little north of 3,000 or something like that, and I wouldn't be wrong. But today, today this bike sells for $1,899, which is awesome, super awesome. And like I said, this comes from Surface 604, which is a company that's really big on customer service, on providing a really good value for everything. They're not going to break any world records with their bikes for speed or anything like that, but come to think of it, I don't know if I want to be a part of that. It sounds very scary, but anyways, great company, great bike, great value for it. So we're really excited for this bike. It's a good one. It's been out for a while. This bike is not new. It's new to us. I guess I'll put it that way. We've seen this bike out there a little bit. Honestly, we were kind of hesitant, and a big part of that was Surface 604 got their start with a fat tire bike that's now called the Boar. I don't know if it was back then, but they had their fat tire bike, the Boar, and that's the only bike they had when they first started. So honestly, I just kind of like dismissed it, like, I'll wait to actually consider it. And I'm sure I waited too long, because this bike, the COLT, has been out for a while. It's a really great bike. I like it a lot so far. It's pretty peppy. I like the hub motors. I ride one every day back and forth to work. I think that's a really, really good use for a hub motor. If you take a hub motor up into the mountains, then it's not going to have, it's not going to be the best utilization for it. You're going to feel a little bit pulled forward or pulled back or something, depending on how it's set up. But when you're on the road, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I've tested tons of electric bikes before. I can tell you from a lot of experience that a lot of people, customers, myself, family members, other people in the industry, I'm in the wrong gear. There we go, I got the gear, okay, cool. Anyways, a lot of people in the industry will tell you, like, mid-drive motors are great, they do amazing things, they're wonderful. Hub drive motors are a lot of fun, they're really fun. And that's a big part of why people get an electric bike in the first place, is just to have fun. And so I can tell you with confidence that this bike is fun, not just because it has a hub motor, but it's just fun anyway. Electric bikes are a lot of fun to ride. It helps people get up and get out and see the air, see the country, feel the wind in their hair, the whole 9 yards. It's a really great thing to do. I'm going to skip ahead to that little island, post up for a minute. I think this light takes a little bit, but I'm kind of in a precarious place. It looks like I might go through some construction. Anyways, the Surface 604, as I have it here, has the 500 watt hub drive motor in the rear, 48 volt, 10.4 amp hour battery. And right now we're doing a range test to see how far it's going to go under real world conditions. So I'm at least 15 miles out by now. I'm actually getting pretty close to the store. And once I reach the store, that will be the 20-mile mark, where I've gone 20 miles on this bike up and down the street. So anyways, that's what we're doing right here on this range test. If you're just joining us, or if for some reason you find it hard to read the title of the video that you clicked on. But anyways, we're out here in a nice sunny day. It's a little windy. It's not too bad, but it's a little windy. It comes and goes a little bit. And we're going to go at full blast pedal assist to see how far this bike really goes. Because you want to know something funny? If you go to their website, if you go to Surface 604, if you go to their website, they have a little thing on there about this bike. They're like, oh, here's the, the tire size and the battery size and stuff like that. They say like, oh yeah, this bike will go up to, 50 miles, up to 60 miles. And everyone does that. Like all the other companies do that. Because honestly, it's really hard. It's hard. You can't just tell someone with confidence like, yes, this bike will go 20 miles under every single condition that you can think of. It's just not that way. The terrain, and especially riders, are not that precise. You can't replicate the same test with a bicycle with a person riding it, because a human being has so many innate variables in it. The length of my leg, how much energy I'm putting out. Right now I'm actually talking on this range test, so that's going to affect my performance. You know what's better than a bike lane? Construction. Anyways, so many things are affecting the variables that would give you slightly different results on a range test. And so manufacturers are very hesitant to put something out there because they don't want some guy coming back and be like, hey, yo, you know, you told me your bike would do 20 under any conditions, and it did, you know, 18, and I had to walk another mile to get home, and you know, that's no fun. And so they're very hesitant to make any firm promises. That's why they say things like, you know, this bike will go up to 60 miles, or you know, anywhere from 10 miles to 60 miles or something like that is what you're going to see. They give you a huge range, you know. So I don't blame them for that. I mean, I would do the same thing if I were a manufacturer. But we as a bike shop, we have a little bit more leeway. You know, as a bike shop, people aren't going to come to us and be like, dude, you promised this or something like that. It's like, we're not a big retail, you know, we're not a big company or something like that. You know, what you going to do? But anyways, we're doing just one example, and that's the way that we, you know, the way that we pitch it. This is one example to show you what the bike has done at least once under real world conditions. They're not going to be your conditions. At least I don't know of anyone that goes up and down this street, especially turning around and coming back the other way. Maybe a delivery of some kind, but it's kind of slow. But anyways, under your conditions, they're going to be vastly different. What do we got going on here? All right. Looks like I'm losing the chain a little bit. What do I got going on? Is it the front chain ring? I think it's the front. Is it the back? Oh, that's no fun. All right, this is a good part of the range test. Is every now and again something does happen. You know, I took out another electric bike. I won't name names, but the electric system cut out about 7 miles through, and then we had to stop the test, get it fixed. I had to get driven back to that same spot that it died, and then I resumed the test. What do we got here? Looks like the something in the chain. The chain needs to be adjusted in some way. I'm trying to feel it out, you know, see if I can find a pattern in it so I can more effectively fix it. So it seems like in the higher gears, or the higher sprockets, I should say, I'm not getting anything. It seems fine. And then when I start shifting gears, you know, maybe I should get a few more rotations and not switch so darn fast. Okay. All right. Okay, I think it's user error is what we were experiencing. So I was switching gears too fast, and then I was trying to go up and down the line, trying to fix it. So all right, we got it all figured out. I didn't even have to get off the bike. Awesome. So anyways, something to keep in mind is that these are bicycles. They still have, you know, regular bike tires, chains, you know, tubes, fenders, you know, all that sort of stuff. It is an electric bike, but it's still a bike. So all of the same bike fixing principles that you learned in your past, or bike fixing principles that someone you know has, they still apply. You can still work on a bicycle even if it's electric, at least in a mechanical sense. The batteries and stuff like that, you know, it might not be so easy. But anyways, so like I said, here we are in this range test for the Surface 604 COLT. This is one of their cruiser electric bikes with a 48 volt 10.4 amp hour battery and a 500 watt rear hub drive motor. And so if you got the patience for it, you can watch this entire video, or you can skip ahead to the end if you're watching this in the near future to see how far the bike went. Or I gotta slow myself down. Here we go. Let's see if I can figure out if I can see anything on that. Looks like the front chain is fine. Maybe I just got a little tension thing going on that I need to square away. Let's see if I can. Okay, that looks better. So, all right. So, the Surface 604, as you can see, is a really fun cruiser bike with an electric system, of course. The 48 volt 10.4 amp hour battery here, the 500 watt rear hub drive there. Pretty comfy stuff. Otherwise, nice seat, front shocks, cool grips, you know, small stuff like that. That really adds up to make a big difference on the ride. And so I've been on this ride and it's been very comfortable. You know, I've been able to talk while riding this whole time, which is awesome. I've got it on full blast pedal assist, up to the 20-mile-an-hour speed, top speed that is. I've already done pretty close to 20 miles already on the bike. And so I've gone on a few tirades, a few rants in the time that you've been with me. I've talked a little bit about the voltage and about how hard it is to read, or the display on the battery meter. I've talked about the industry and why it's important for bikes to be around this price point. And I also went on a small rant about fat tire bikes and about I really should figure that. I really should change that. I have a bias towards fat tire bikes, and I really shouldn't. It's quite unprofessional of me. Anyways, so here we are on the test once again. This test is one that we do with a lot of different electric bikes and stuff like that. But you know what? You've heard me talk about all this before. I think it's about time for another rant, another tirade, because honestly, I feel like this is kind of like a little bit of a behind the scenes, if you will. I watch some of the behind the scenes footage for, movies and stuff like that, and I like to hear the director talk about like, oh yeah, we had a really hard time making this because, as it turns out, the glass was melting in this scene, and because it's fake glass or whatever, stuff like that. I love hearing stuff about that. So anyways, so we're here on this cruiser. It's not exactly a cruiser, it's cruiser-esque, but it's really not like super cruiser the way that some of the other bikes would be with that are like like an easy chair or something like that. Anyways, this is the Surface 604 COLT. This is a really fun electric bike with lots of great stuff on it, but let's talk about some of the horror stories I've had on electric bikes, because I know that's one thing that gets me all excited, is hearing people's hearing experiences people have had with things and how they dealt with it, how they solved it in a way. So this range test so far, once I get to that, there's the store, Blue Monkey Bicycles. Once I get to parallel with that, that'll be 20 miles. I've had other electric bikes that I couldn't test because the test failed for various reasons. One of them was, I've gotten a couple flat tires on bikes where I'll go out and I'm all ready and I got the entire day planned out and I'm expecting big results and stuff like that, and then I get a flat tire, and it was a bad one too. It was really bad. It was tons of little goat heads, so little kind of like caltrop weeds, or like the seed of a weed or something like that. Anyways, it gets stuck in there, and the tube was beyond repairing. I had a repair kit, but it would have been like 5 or 6 different holes at least. That was too much, and so I had to call for help. I called Dwayne. I was like, "Hey, can you come pick me up?" So he came and picked me up in the truck, and we switched out the tube, and then I did the test again the next day because I had already gone through so much, and I was really tired, and I had to wait a little bit to get the ride and everything. And I don't know, like the tire had a lot of slow leaks, so it was hard for me to say where it was that I got it. So because of that, I couldn't like jump back on the road again immediately. So I called it a day. I was like, all right, we'll just try again. With another bike, I was out, I had mentioned this before, I was out on another range test for another bike, and I was out maybe like 7 miles, and then the system shut down. I couldn't figure it out again. And I was like, dude, what's up? I turned it off, turned it on, pulled the battery out. I tried to open up a configuration menu or something. I couldn't figure out how to get it to work. And it had shut down. It wasn't starting up again. And so it just so happened that day that some guys from that company were there at our shop, and they were like, oh dude. So they came out, they picked me up, they picked up the bike, we took it back to the shop. They worked on the electric system a little bit, they got it squared away, and they took me back to where it had died, because I knew exactly where it had died. They took me back, and I was able to finish the test. And that happened once. There was another time when I went out on a bike, and it just got too dangerous, and I had a really bad feeling about it. I was doing a range test on I was doing a range test on a trike, an electric trike, and I was going out, and I went out on it, and this trike it's big. I mean, electric trikes are big, and people aren't accustomed to seeing them. And this particular one, I didn't have a flag on it or something, so I was kind of exposed. And I was out for a while, and I was like, I just didn't feel right. You know, I had the extra battery with me and stuff like that, and I was like, I really shouldn't be doing this. And I had to turn around and go, you know, I turned around and went back to the shop. And truth be told, I never did finish it. I never did finish testing that electric trike. And that's one thing, like, do I regret it? Not really, because, you know, when you have that feeling, when you have that gut feeling, you know, you're on something like that, really should, you know, pay attention, you know, keep your eyes open, stuff like that. So I'm glad that I listened, because it prepares me for, you know, better things in the future. But another example of a range test that went awry was on the Yike bike. So I had mentioned the Yike bike prior. The Yike bike is this goofy little thing. Like, it's not like, they call it a bike and it's got two wheels, but it's really not a bike. I mean, realistically, it's not a bike. It's kind of like a stool, like an electric stool or something like that kind of carts you around. It's super cool. It's super awesome. It's so far outside the box, like, it's wacky. It's like you know, you sit on it, of course, and the handlebars are behind you, and then you steer the handlebars like backwards almost, and the front wheel is really, really big, and there's a tiny wheel in the back, like really tiny, like maybe like, you know, you could probably palm the whole thing if you had to. Anyways, it's a goofy little thing. I was out on that thing and I actually biffed. I crashed on it. I was like, you know what, today might be a good day for a range test. And I went out and I biffed it, and because that thing's hard to balance. You know, the Yike bike is super fun, but you got to give yourself time. If you jump on it and you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be easy, and then you just hit the throttle and go, like, it can be scary in your first few miles. It's pretty scary. It took me about maybe like 10, 12 miles. No, maybe more than that. Maybe it took like 20 miles or something. It took me a while to really get the balance of it. So I biffed it hard. So anyways, I also did a range test on another bike. I'll tell you right now, I'm doing the range test on the Surface 604 COLT, which is a great electric bike. You can read some specs on their website. We have some on our website, bluemonkeybicycles.com, where, by the way, you can buy one. Cha-ching! Anyways, I was out on a range test, and this one actually has been kind of a thorn in my side. Oh, hey, that's they brought the car back. So this is like a money exchange place or something like that. And they have that car, and it's been gone for a couple of years, and they finally brought it back. I was so curious about it. It's a car that they sold in Mexico. It's the Nissan S-Cargo, if you're curious. Anyways, so I was telling you about this other range test that I was doing that's kind of a thorn in my side. Because today I'm doing this bike, the Surface 604 COLT, and it's doing great so far. You know, I've gone more than 20 miles on it, and you've been able to see that through the live test. I've been yammering about all sorts of stuff. But one time I went out on a test, and so I was out on this bike, right? And the bike has two battery configurations, one for lower, one for greater distance, and that's what I was testing. I tested the smaller battery already, and the smaller battery did, I don't remember what the numbers are, but I'm going to say like, 33 miles or something like that. And so the smaller battery did like 33 miles, and I was like, okay. And then I did the bigger battery, and the bigger battery did like 34 miles or 33 or something like that. And so I emailed the company. I was like, hey, I think one of these batteries is like mislabeled or something like that. And it's a very responsive company, by the way. They got back to us. Like, this isn't like this isn't some cheap crap company or something like that. Anyways, the company emailed back, and they're like, well, that's weird. We've never seen a battery that's been mislabeled before, but so they asked me to open it up and take a few pictures and send it to them and stuff, and I did all of that, and I sent them the pictures, and they're like, well, the pictures really look like it's a bigger battery. They're like, well, you know what, let's go the extra mile. So the company, again, very responsive. They sent me a machine, a battery discharger, to test how much or how long the battery would discharge under ideal conditions. And so I hooked it up to this machine, I charged it up, hooked it up to the machine, and the machine discharged it, and the numbers that came up, like, okay, this took exactly 2.4 hours or whatever, the numbers that came up were accurate to the larger battery description, and they said, yeah, that's testing out to be one of the larger batteries. And I was like, okay, so I really don't know what to do, because like I had the larger battery, which is supposed to go, it's greater amp hours, so it's supposed to go farther, right? So I have the battery that's supposed to go farther, and I tested it, and it did the exact same thing as a smaller battery. And based on several tests after that on the exact battery, they say, yeah, that's the bigger one. So I actually wound up not publishing the results on our website because I felt like there was something up. The battery's testing to be bigger. They told me it's bigger. It feels heavier. It looks like a different battery from the smaller one. It was like, but I couldn't figure it out. I was like, why are the results the same thing? And so I've got to try it again with a different, larger battery, and we'll see what the results come out to. But that's one range test that's still a thorn in my side. Like, why would the larger battery test to be the same as the smaller battery? And so I want to publish the results and be like, hey, yo, I guess it really doesn't matter if you get the bigger battery or not, but I'm quite confident that something's going on. Something's up. Maybe I just, I had it in the wrong gear. So I don't know. Again, these tests are, as you can tell by all the failures and stuff that I've had, these tests are not exactly scientific. This is not like a test that you can replicate easily. I guess you could, if you wanted to, come down to Salt Lake with a bike or something like that and do the same route. And it's not hard. Just go up and down the same street, and you can see what your bike does. And if you really want to refute, one of the tests that I did. But anyways, this is just meant to be one example. It's meant to be, not so much a proof, but just kind of like a showcase. Like this bike, that guy needs to go, and light's going to turn green. Sorry. Anyways, so this is just one real world example of what you can see this bike doing. And so far, I can tell you that the Surface 604 COLT that I'm riding right now, this one has done 20 miles already, and you've been able to see that with me in real time. It's 10 miles away from the shop, all the way down to the Ramada Inn, and then you turn around and come back. And so I've already done 10 miles out, 10 miles back, and now I'm going towards downtown Salt Lake. And when I get to downtown Salt Lake, that's roughly like 6 miles or so, something like that. So I'll go 6 miles up, turn around and come back towards the store. Maybe I'll take a break, get some water, something like that. It won't take too long, because I don't want to leave you guys hanging, because I know you love the thrill and excitement of watching a guy on a bicycle for several hours, pedaling along and yammering about electric bikes. So fun stuff, right? So if you're just tuning in, I just finished a rant on some of the failed range tests that I've done on some of these, and I've done a lot of different range tests for bikes. I can list some of them right now. Heck, I got time, I'm going to be here. So I've done range tests on the Bosch 20 mile an hour system with the 400 watt hour battery. I did the Bosch 28 mile an hour system with the 400 watt hour battery. I did the Yamaha 20 mile an hour system with the 400 watt hour battery. So pretty much like I haven't done the bigger battery size yet, but with the smaller battery size, I did the Bosch, I did the Yamaha, I did the Shimano system. I did the, there's another mid-drive, Bosch, Shimano, Yamaha, E-Prodigy, that's right. I did the E-Prodigy system at 28 miles an hour. That was a lot of fun. I've done the Easy Motion hub drive at 28 miles an hour. I've done lots of 20 mile an hour ones. I did the Pedigo 36 volt 10 amp hour. I've done the Pedigo 48 volt 10 amp hour, Pedigo 48 volt 15 amp hour, the Pedigo 48 volt 11 amp hour, and each of those I've done on pedal assist and throttle. So that's 2 tests. I did one, and then I came back another day and did the other one. So on all those, the 36 volt, the 48 volt, 10, 11, and 15. I've done the Pedigo Pedigo 48 volt 13 amp hour battery that they have on their cargo bikes. I've done the Easy Motion. I did the older Easy Motions that they don't make anymore, the 36 volt 12 amp hour battery, which honestly I like that one a lot. My wife has that one as her own personal bike. It's a great one. They switched over to 48 volt, and this is 48 volt's great. Don't get me wrong. 36 was adequate for my wife. She was fine on it. So it works out really well for her. I better go on the left side of this bus just to be sure. So, anyways, I did the Easy Motion hub drive, 36 volt, 12 amp hour. I did the 48 volt, 9 amp hour. Like I said, I did it on high speed. I've done a few other goofy ones too. I did the Yike bike. I did the what's it called? The Ojo commuter scooter. I actually did that one last week. I've done the Liberty trike as well. That's a very simple, small electric trike. I think that's most of it. I'm sure I'm missing some. And right now I'm on the Surface 604 COLT, 48 volt, 10.4 amp hour battery. So that's what I'm riding now, and you guys are watching me do this. This is the second time we've done a live range test. The first time was on the Ojo commuter scooter, and we actually had to break it up in 2 parts because we had some issues with the connectivity on the on YouTube. The scooter did fine. The scooter did more than fine. It did 21 miles if I remember right. So quite a bit. So I've done lots of different range tests on lots of different bikes. Mid drives, hub drives, front motor, rear motor, all sorts of fun stuff. So that's my job. And I'm glad you're joining in with me for this range test for the Surface 604 COLT. It's a really fun bike. With the hub motor, the 500 watt hub motor in the back really has like this pushing effect. You really get that kind of kick in the pants fun when you first engage it. With the torque-based pedal assist, you get that right away. With other systems, you got to wait a second before it kicks in. This one, it's just boom. It's right there, right when you put some stress on the pedals. It's awesome. Aside from that, it also has a throttle that I haven't been using for this test because I'm trying to keep it, pretty specific to pedal assist. Anyways, it has a throttle, it has lights that I'm also not using because it's broad daylight, and a few other features too. Most electric bikes have something like this that has like a trip set or a timer, like a clock kind of thing. Various little knickknacks and stuff, kind of like the old Timex watches from the 90s, stuff like that. Just a lot bigger. Anyways, so this bike has been a lot of fun. It's been very comfortable, I can tell you that. There are other bikes that are meant for sitting, which are even more comfortable, but they are not as fun for pedaling. So this bike does strike a pretty good balance. That guy go fast. Anyways, this bicycle, the Surface 604 COLT, does strike a really good balance between something that's comfortable and something that honestly is like usable, because a bike like this has a good seat on it. It's a comfy seat, but it's not like a couch, because if you're sitting on a couch for very long trying to pedal, then you'll notice that the couch gets in the way. It's like it'd be like I don't know, it's like trying to use a keyboard with gloves on, that kind of thing. Like, yeah, you could probably get through it for a while, but any kind of long-term sort of engagement with a seat that big can really, really stress out your legs, especially on the inside of the thigh. It feels really bad on a big seat. But anyways, this bike doesn't have that problem. This bike has a good seat that's not only good for comfort, but you can actually use your legs. The seat doesn't get in the way. Your leg has plenty of room to move around like the curve of the seat, if that makes sense. So you're not going to chafe yourself after a couple of miles or something like that. At least hopefully. I don't know what your legs are, but I don't feel that, I can tell you that. There we go, get the pedals just right. Okay, so I'll show you this seat right here. This light takes a little bit. So anyways, here is the seat that we're working with. You can see right here on this part, that's where your inner thigh goes in, so you can actually get some room to pedal. If you have a big seat that's more oval-like, then that part of the seat kind of gets in the way. So when you start pushing down with your thigh, you can get through it. You can push the seat out of the way, but having to push the seat out of the way with the inside of your thigh really starts to wear down after any kind of time. So a bike with a really, really big seat, they're very fun, they're very comfy, but they're not really focused for pedaling. They're more focused for sitting down, twisting the throttle, very, very casual, very light as far as demand that they want from the rider. So this bike, like I said, strikes a really good balance between comfort and something that's actually fun to pedal, fun to ride around, and a little bit more usable. Okay, here we go. And I like that a lot. This bike is a little more reminiscent of, say, like the Easy Motion City. The Easy Motion City would be a direct competitor for a bike like this in a lot of ways. The Easy Motion City has very similar handlebars, fenders, batteries in the same spot, 500 watt hub motor. I'm pretty sure they're pretty close, like a 48 volt 10 amp hour battery too. I like the Easy Motion City. It's a great bike. I like this one as well. There are some other differences between the two, but that's another bike if you want to, if you're curious. The very different look to them as well. So that's going to be a big part of the difference between the two, because let's face it, they're meant for the same use. They're meant for like the in the Easy Motion City case, it's meant for the city. It's meant for someone in an environment such as myself, where they're getting around and they want something kind of comfy, but they don't want like an easy chair or something like that. So, anyways, similar for this one. The big difference between the two is going to be price point. That's going to be the first thing you're going to see when you're comparing the Surface 604 Colt and say the Easy Motion City, or even one of the high bike trekking models. The high bike trekking models, I don't know how I feel about those ones. High bike makes excellent mountain bike, and they kind of like transferred their stuff over and kind of switched out the mechanical parts to make it like a street bike. But to me, it's not altogether convincing. Anyways, I like them, and I'm sure a lot of customers do. But my personal preference is something with a little more guts to it. The mid-drive high bikes are really, really great for off-road. One of my favorites for off-road riding. But when you get them on the road, honestly, especially the Bosch system, they can feel a little limiting. They can feel a little, what's the word, like I don't know. Like they just don't have that fun. They're really kicking your pants fun. And I feel like a lot of that comes from the really powerful, really high amp programmed hub motor that I'm on right now. When you push on the pedals on something like this, boom, off it goes. It just goes instantly, And the high bikes, they're more smooth. They are. They're more smooth. They're more intuitive in how they feel. They're more like a bicycle, which is great. But when I'm riding around the city, boy, I really like to let it rip. That just sounded like something else. But anyways, so here we are in Salt Lake City, Utah, with the 48 volt 10.4 amp hour battery system on this 500 watt rear hub motor Colt from Surface 604. There we go. We're doing the range test to see how far it goes until it dies. You'll probably hear me say that a ton. Anyways, this bike, like I was saying a long time ago, strikes a really good balance. It's not like super road. I've been on super road bikes, and they have their own kind of appeal to them. But for someone who's not really invested in going that direction, it's a really good option. So like, on some of the road bikes, I've been on some that have dropper handlebars, where the handlebars like kind of peak up here, and then you can tuck down. And these are electric bikes, mind you. Like you can tuck down really, really low and hold on the handlebars there, and they got brakes down there and everything like that. They're super fun in their own right, but for the average guy who's not accustomed to doing that kind of thing, it's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask someone who is not accustomed to bicycles at all to jump on a bike like that and totally change the way that they're accustomed to working out. Because on a bike like this, on the Surface 604 Colt that I'm on right now, the stem right here, this can be adjusted so it can come closer to me, and that would bring the handlebars up a little bit. I actually have adjusted them already. I'm not going to do that now on the road. But anyways, you can adjust this, bring the handlebars to you. The seat has a quick release to get it up or down or something like that. So that way you can put more of your weight backwards, and therefore you're in a more natural seating position, because unless you tie your shoes really, really often, you're probably not accustomed to hunching over, using your torso to support your upper body. But the guys who have the drop-down handlebars, the ones that curve over, that's what they're doing, is they're using their torso muscles to keep their body up. Also their hands, of course, especially at the beginning. But they're doing that so they can get a more aero position, so that they get more push on their stroke for their legs and stuff, and all sorts of other fun stuff that I'm not as versed in, truth be told. But a bike like this is more comfortable. It's not meant for torquing down and going into the wind, or cutting through the wind in a super aero position. Like I said, this one has a very good middle of the road setup, and you can adjust it too. Like if you want to, you can take the handlebars down, you can put the seat up really high, and you can get that position where the back of your neck is what is what facing the road. But as I have it set up right now, it's a little more comfy, and that's good. This bike is meant to be something a little bit more comfy. I don't know if you can see the way that it's set up in the mirror over there, but a little more upright. Not all of that, but not like super upright, but pretty darn well. So anyways, something I haven't talked about a little bit is Surface 604 as a company isn't terribly old from what I understand. They got their start back in 2013 with their fat tire bike, the Boar, and that was a bike that at the time I wasn't too impressed with fat tire bikes, but now they have stretched out their line to a lot of other electric bikes, including this one here. They have the Carbon, they have the Boar, still the fat tire bike, and aside from this one, they also have a step-through model that's very similar. They also have the Yun bike, or like the C1 or something like that. I haven't seen one in person yet, so I'm not as well versed in it. That one has like a smaller battery pack. I think that's meant to be more of like a, almost like something for like a college campus or something, that kind of thing. So, anyways, a few other bikes aside from this in their lineup, and aside from their fat tire bike that I saw years ago. So they've been at it for a little while, since 2013. And if you can believe it, that's not like a small feat within the industry. We've seen other electric bike companies come and go very, very quickly. They're companies that have just they're companies that they buy a bike design, or they buy a certain amount of bikes from some other company. They try to make a brand out of it, and then for whatever reason it doesn't work, and then they fall, and then the company is nowhere to be heard from again. This was especially prevalent some 10 years ago or so. This was especially prevalent some years ago when the technology was different. Oh, I'm facing the truck. I don't really want to ride into it. I kind of do, but I really shouldn't. It'll compromise the test. Anyways. Oh, here's Magnum electric bikes. Hey guys. So Magnum electric bikes, if you didn't know, they are an electric bike manufacturer, and their U.S. headquarters is actually here in Salt Lake City. As you can see, down the street, a little ways, but down the street from us here in Utah. So anyways, I want to get my hands on some of their bikes and test them too. But anyways, so I was talking about some of the other companies that, especially some 10 years ago, they didn't really last very long. They made bikes and then for whatever reason they folded. And so for a company, it might not sound like a long time, but for a company to stick around since 2013, that's now 4 years. That's still pretty good. We've seen companies that last shorter than that for any number of reasons. Sometimes because they have cheap junk and they can't fix them, they can't service them, and so the needs overwhelm them. Sometimes because some other company has the same thing for a better cost, or sometimes because they don't market, or whatever. There's any number of reasons. I cannot list the many ways that a company would go under. But anyway, so that's a big part of what's appealing about Surface 604 is they've been around. They're not quite as old as the European ones, because the European market is much more mature. But for North America, that's a good thing. That's a good thing to be around for more than a few years. And I'm excited to see where they go from here. I'm excited to see other bikes that they want to put in their lineup. I'm excited to see them go in a good direction for value. And I think that's what they're going for. Is like, each company has what they're going for. They have like their general, I guess like mission statement, if you want to call it that, or subtle market niche. Because like electric bikes, they're going somewhere. Well, as you can see, I'm literally going somewhere on this Surface 604 COLT that I'm doing a range test on. See how far the battery goes. Anyways, the electric bikes are going somewhere, and that means that there's room for specialty stuff, for companies to make specialty electric bikes, which is awesome. There's a company, this is it, there's a turnaround point. All right, so, all right, do a little box turn here. All right, so if you're not familiar with a box turn is what I'm doing right now. If you want to get down on some bike safety stuff. So I turn the electric system down, or more or less off. I turn the electric system off so that I can do this turn. And the turn is, oh, thanks. I'm in the wrong gear. Ah! Oh, golly. I was in the wrong gear to do that. Anyways, a box turn is when you make a succession of turns with the intent of just making a straight up left. So you saw that I wanted to take a left over here, but I looked around and there was way too much traffic. Let's crank up the electric system again. Okay, there was way too much traffic, and so I couldn't make a left. I couldn't jump across all those lanes. I should have prepared a lot earlier. So instead of trying to, put my hand out and dive in front of everyone and, close my eyes and hope I make it, I just did a small little turn, went around the block a tiny bit. And so that's called a box turn, if you're curious. Anyway, so I was talking about electric bike companies and what their specialty is, in a way, or how electric bike companies in this mature electric bike buying market can specialize and still make a good, a good company out of it. So back in the day, there was a company called Tidal Force, and Tidal Force made what is now, quite obsolete electric bike, but it was awesome. It had the Tidal Force had a 36 volt battery in the front wheel and a motor in the back wheel, and it ran on, I think, nickel cadmium batteries at the time, and it was a monster. It weighed like 90 pounds or something ridiculous like that. But that was back in the day when no one else was doing it, and they really just made a few bikes. They had like a folding bike that, if I remember right, like the Army was going to pick up or something, and they had, and then they sold their designs to a company I think called Europa, and they had a couple of kind of mountain bike-ish sort of bikes, and that's all they had, And some of the earlier systems, like E-Prodigy, for example, that have been making mid-drives for a long time, it was hard for them to branch out and make some of the and make a lot of different bikes because they were so focused on getting anything out the door. But now that the market is a little more mature, now that there's people getting electric bikes for various different reasons, now you can have more specialty stuff. Now you can have things like, honestly, like the Ike bike. The Ike bike is a super weird, goofy thing that that's a niche upon a niche upon a niche. That's, you got to find a very, very, very narrow market for something like that. But every company has what they're going for, and Surface 604, from what I gather, their big thing is value. They're offering a bike that's perfectly good for a really good price. It's not the most up to date as far as like the motor system and stuff like that. It's not, the super lightest weight, awesome, carbon fiber wheels. Although actually they do have a carbon fiber bike, so. But anyways, value is a big part of it. This bike, as I'm on it right now, is $18.99 for a 48 volt, 10.4 amp hour battery on a 500 watt rear hub motor with torque sensing pedal assist, a bunch of really good acceptable comfort features as well. That's a really good value to pay that much for that kind of a bike. It really is a good value, and that's the way that's the way I want to put it. There are other things that other companies have, I guess, in a different way, and there's nothing bad about them at all. Highbike, for example, makes awesome mountain bikes. Scott is another company making, well, actually they're going to make electric mountain bikes that are super awesome. And that's what they're for. Those are mountain bikes for the mountain. That's a totally different usage. I mean, I guess you could take this off-road if you wanted to. It wouldn't be my first choice. It could do it could do the easy stuff, no big deal. But you wouldn't want to do anything hardcore with this. And some of the other companies, like Pedigo, for example. Pedigo is a company that makes primarily beach cruisers. Is a big part of their success. They've made electric beach cruisers for quite a long time, quite a while, and they're super comfy. And I mean every single point of that silly inflection that I had in the word. They are super comfy. They got the handlebar. On a lot of them, the handlebars come back to your hips, and the seat has a little cushion in it, and the tires are nice and wide, and your weight is all the way back. It's so comfortable, so comfortable. So if you want an electric bike and comfort is very important to you, then yeah, totally check out a Pedigo. They're pretty cool. And Pedigo has their own sense of value in it, and this is something that I'm going to address in a review for a Pedigo at some point in the future. And that's something for a different buyer. We'll say this bike is very much good for the value, bang for the buck. This is a really, really awesome electric bike. And honestly, if you had this bike, I'm not sure where this guy's going. I guess he's taking this parking spot. So I'm out of here. All right. Anyways, if you want something that's bang for your buck, if you want a really good electric bike for a really good price, then totally, this is a great choice, a really good choice. The Surface 604 is an excellent value, and like I said, I think that's what they're going for with their entire lineup. Is they want something that's a really good price, and without having to sacrifice important things like actually getting parts for it or something like that, or having a backing from a company that actually supports their product. Because truth be told, that's something that other bikes at a lower price point do sacrifice. And is that a value? I'm inclined to say no. We got a really cheap bike. If you want to, you can check out the review on it. We got a cheap electric bike, and honestly, it was a lot of fun at first, but the thing was more or less useless after a couple hundred miles, and the company was nowhere to be found. I didn't list it in the video, but trying to send emails to these people like, hey, the bike broke, it falls on deaf ears. It's not going to go anywhere. And so I said in the video, the idea that a really cheap bike that you get from overseas comes with a manufacturer warranty is really just a joke. But that's not the case for the Surface 604. I would not call it cheap. I would just say it's a good value. And that's honestly how I feel about it, because it really does have good parts on it. I've been on it for at least 25 miles so far, and it's doing great. And that's what the batteries can do. I've been on other bikes that do less than 10 miles, and they're not so good. But so far the bike is doing good. We intend on riding this bike for a while between us at the shop to see how it performs under 1,000 miles or so. And so as you can imagine, it's going to take a little while. Not something I can cover in the course of this range test, but for the purposes of this range test, we are on the Surface 604 COLT, and we're going to ride it until the battery dies. That's cool. I've never seen that one before. A little bit of artwork, some anime on it, or not anime, kind of like old school Japanese, what's it called, characters. I guess anime, like those characters existed before it was really anime, I suppose. I mean, it was what it was, but the term and the phrase and especially the culture, but blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I'm not here to talk about anime. I'm here to talk about the Surface 604 COLT, which is what we're on right now doing the range test. So we've already done somewhere around 25 miles so far on the range test. And that's good. I was at about the 10-mile mark. Can I squeeze this? I think I can do this. Yeah, I got this. Oh. Anyways, I was at about the 10-mile mark, and I was like, yeah, this thing will totally get 20 miles easy. I'd be shocked if it didn't. It'll probably get somewhere around 30. So anyways, we're between 25 and 30 miles of range on a full battery right now, on full blast pedal assist on this bike, and we're going to see what else it can do. We're going to see how far it's going to go, and actually you're going to see what it does when it dies. I can tell you what it does because I experienced that the other day. I had the misfortune of being on the bike when it died. The other guys were from the shop were riding the bike as well, so I really don't know how far it went because I just got the bike after mystery miles or whatever. But anyways, when the bike dies, for example, it's going to be pretty much full power, and then at one point it's not going to be full power and you'll probably hear me stumble and say, oh, whoa, what's that, or something like that, because what's going to happen is that the battery display right now is at about, I don't know, like 2/3 left. There's still 2/3 of the battery left. But as I had mentioned before in a small rant, the battery display is not like super precise. It's more of just an estimate. And in the past, when I've taken this out before, like in the past when it died before, it was actually somewhere a little less than half. It was, somewhere around like 40% of battery life left. And that's what it showed me on the display. And then the battery died out somewhere around there. And so that's one example. I mean, they all do it. This has nothing to do with Surface, like I said before. Has nothing to do with Surface 604. All the battery displays behave in a manner similar to this, where they show you on the battery display like, oh yeah, you got lots of battery life left, and all of a sudden it's in panic mode. And it's like, whoa, sound the alarm, The Bosch system is very similar for all the tech and engineering they have in their stuff. Yamaha system the same way, Shimano, Pedigo, Easy Motion, like they all do it. So anyways, when I was on the bike when it died the other day, it was about 40%, and then all of a sudden the power cut off. And I was just like pedaling a heavy bike at that point. And the display was still lit up. The display flashed an empty battery at me for a second while it was trying to read, and then it wouldn't allow any pedal assist after that point. It would just turn on, or it would turn on the display, but it wouldn't allow any pedal assist. And so I turned the bike on and off again, and then I was able to power up for like another 2 feet, and then boom, it went off again. And so this bike, when it dies, it's out. It's down for the count. You're not going to be able to squeeze much more out of it, even if you turn it on and off again, even if you put the battery on and off again. You're not going to be able to squeeze a whole lot more out of it than after it dies. And so that's the way that it's programmed to shut down. Other ones are programmed differently, and we're going to see what it does. Right now, like I said, we've done somewhere around 25 miles at this point on full blast pedal assist. And somewhere around 30 miles, that's when I'm going to start paying a little bit more attention to the battery display and where I am, because I've been on other bikes that have a similar setup, and they do very similar. They do somewhere around 30 miles, anywhere from like 28 to 35 or somewhere around there. So we'll see what happens. But this is the range test. Oh man, is that a Mad Max Miata? That is awesome. Anyways, we're on this range test for the Surface 604 COLT. It's a good electric bike that we just recently started carrying on our website. So if you'd like to get your hands on one of these, you can go to our website, bluemonkeybicycles.com, then go to the shop page, and then go to Surface 604, and then go to the COLT, and then click buy, and then put in your credit card information, and then when it says, are you sure, you click accept. Make sure you do all that. But anyways, there's a lot of Teslas. Awesome. I don't think I've seen that many at this location before. There's some weird thing with the Utah law here. But anyways, so the Surface 604 is a bike that we recently started to bring on to our website and in store, obviously. And it's a really good value bike. That's what they're going for. Nothing too incredibly whiz bang. Not a lot of smartphone integration or stuff like that. But it's a great bike for a great price. And honestly, I don't really want to look at my smartphone while I'm on a bike. And I know that I'm saying that while I have my smartphone strapped to my chest. And hopefully everything's going well. So here we go. We're going to continue the range test. And like I said, we've already done somewhere around 25 miles to this point. And somewhere around 30 miles, I'm going to start paying more attention to the system and see where see how much more we can expect out of it. So the battery display is showing somewhere around half as I'm pedaling it right now, a little over half. And if that were accurate, that would mean that under full power, this bike is going to go somewhere around 60 miles, which, truth be told, I sincerely doubt this thing is going to do 60 miles on full blast pedal assist with myself riding it. And by the way, I weigh about 180 pounds. Give or take a pound or two. I got some equipment with me, a little bit. But anyways, so the Surface 604 COLT is what I'm on right now. They have a few other bikes in their lineup, made out of beautiful Canada, British Columbia, from what I remember. Gorgeous mountains and stuff. If you've ever seen their videos, they've got some really, really pretty scenery up and around there. And 604 is the telephone area code, totally repping their set. Anyways, they've been making bikes for not terribly long, but they've been making them for a few years, and they've crossed a certain point, like I said earlier, where you can really put some trust in a company that's been around for a few years. You can start to say, okay, they've got a track record, they've got years worth of reviews and stuff like that. So you can do a little bit more looking into it with more firmness in what you see. When you see a super startup company that's like not even a year old, it's really hard to believe what you hear because you're not sure. Yeah, I'm totally running this. You're not sure what you can trust. What's a review that's been paid for? If some company's coming out and they got a ton of 5-star reviews and they've only had one product for a very brief time, and honestly, it's tough to trust something like that that's so new. But like I said, Surface 604 has been around for a few years, so you can put a little more stock into the things that you hear about the company. And truth be told, my dealings with the company have been very positive so far. They've been very responsive on the telephone. They have several people on staff there for service needs. They've had a line of electric bikes that has had a place in the market for some years now. And so that's something that I can tell you from what I've been able to witness. Other companies that I've seen, I couldn't speak as positively for. I really shouldn't name names, but I've seen companies that come and go like a flash in the pan. They're there one year, they're there, and they're gone the next. You hear about, you see their bikes. You might see a bike like that wander into the store from some guy who can't fix it, and he's like, "Hey, can you help me fix this?" And we'll ask them like, "What company did you get it from?" And they'll say, "Oh, I got it from Homeboy bike manufacturing or whatever." And then the company's gone. Their website has a copyright from 2 years ago or something. And it's like, "Dude, I can't get parts for this. I'll do my best." That kind of thing. So, anyways, all that stuff is not something you have to worry about with Surface 604. They've been around for a little while, and they've been through a lot of ups in the market, I'm sure, because electric bikes have been up the last 2 years. 2013 is a great time to get started, truth be told. So, anyways, oh hey, look at that. This guy, I believe, is on one as well. Not a Surface, but something. How you doing? How's the bike treating you?
Very good.
Good, good. I work at the shop that you just had the tune-up at.
I had to return. I had to bring it back.
Oh, okay. What you got going on?
Brakes.
Oh, the brakes? Okay.
The right brake is not working.
Ah, okay.
I'm bringing it back tomorrow
Okay, that sounds good.
because I have to go to work.
Okay, we'll be open from 10 to 5 tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's just not working.
yeah, it looks like you could choke up on a little. Yeah, we can take care of it. It's not tough. Now isn't really the time. How's it been working for you thus far, otherwise?
Good.
Good. Good to hear.
Should be home from Thailand.
I'll catch you later. So that fella, he got an electric bike. I don't remember where. I'm not sure what kind, but he's come in a few times to have us work on the mechanical system, the brakes, and the shifter and stuff like that. He's a cool guy. Anyways, not sure where I left off, but I can always pick up on something else. I can talk about our company, Blue Monkey Bicycles. That's one thing I haven't really had a chance to talk about. You'd think I would. You'd think that I'd be out here just talking Blue Monkey up and down, but I know that you're on my channel. Ha-ha! I know that you're watching the video. Ha-ha! So you are at least familiar in a small way with Blue Monkey Bicycles. So Blue Monkey Bicycles is a resource, an electric bike resource and retailer based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. So here I am in Salt Lake City on the main drag, State Street, just going up and down until this battery dies. And this is a range test that we're doing on this bike to inform customers or potential customers on what they can expect in one real world example from this bike. And we've done this on a lot of other systems, on a lot of other bikes, and all sorts of various configurations. And we also have a lot of educational stuff on our website that we try to promote in a fun manner, because hey, we're consumers too. We like to shop around for things, and we like to be able to know a little bit more information from someone that has a lot of information to give. And we do. We've been selling electric bikes from our retail shop for some years now, and we ride them every day. I ride electric bikes every single day. I have my personal daily driver electric bike that I use to get back and forth to work. I don't drive a car, even in the winter, even in the summer, even when it's raining. And I try out a lot of other ones too, such as what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm doing the range test on the Surface 604 COLT. We're about 30 miles out. Well, we're more than 30 miles, somewhere around there at least. Well, I think when we get back to the shop, it'll be about 30. Anyways, we're closing in on 30 miles out on the range test so far. And we'll see how far it goes until it dies. But Blue Monkey Bicycles also has a lot of other, mostly video content on figuring out really this new product, this new, I guess, like market, if you will. It took quite a long time. Even though people were buying them in droves, it took a long time for people to figure out cell phones. My brother Joe, he's big into cell phone stuff. He always has been for years. And cell phones exploded, literally exploded. Well, I shouldn't say literally. Figuratively, they exploded into the market. Almost everyone has one. It's kind of strange to find one who doesn't have a cell phone in this day and age. And that has all happened in less than a generation. In 20 years, cell phones have gone from being, kind of like a fun toy in a way, to being, in some people's line of work, a necessity for their job or something like that. I don't know if electric bikes are going to get there quite yet, but anyways, with that new product, people have to learn how to use it. For example, a cell phone isn't going to work it does now, but especially in the early days, a cell phone wouldn't work as well if you drive out towards a country, or if you are what used to be called roaming. If you're driving on a road trip or something, a cell phone straight up wouldn't work, or something like that. And back in the day, and smartphones especially brought a whole new set of rules with apps and text messaging and data plans and all that stuff. All of this stuff, as day to day as it seems to us, people had to learn. People had to learn how to use it, had to learn the rules. People are still learning it right now. And electric bikes are a new thing to a lot of people. A lot of people have heard of them. They kind of, have their curiosities about it. But truth be told, they don't even know what they do. It's very common. People have questions that we try to address with the video series that we have. Things like, how to use pedal assist. That's a question that lots of people have. They don't know what pedal assist is, because it's very difficult to explain using especially words, but like text-based words. But even in the video, it's a little hard to explain. You got to get someone on the bike to actually put their feet onto it and pedal it and feel what it does, because pedal assist can seem very conflicting with a throttle, or with just plain old pedaling, or braking, or switching gears, and a geared motor, and is that affected by gears, etc. The list goes on. And so at Blue Monkey Bicycles, we try to provide as much of that information as we can. We're still a bike shop. We're still a bike shop with customers coming in our front door, so we're trying to do the best we can, trying to spin a couple plates at once. But we have a lot of experience with electric bikes, and we want to share that with the rest of the world. We want people to make a good, informed decision when they're buying an electric bike, rather than just getting the very first one that they find. Because one thing I can tell you from experience, doesn't matter how crappy the electric bike is, the first one you try is going to feel so amazing, because they really are. Electric bikes are so much fun. And the really bad ones, they don't last a long time as far as lifespan. They feel really fun, they feel really peppy, they feel like you can take on the world with the really bad ones, but they just don't last very long in lifespan. And so we want people to make a good informed decision and buy a good electric bike, because the more people that have a good quality electric bike, and the more people that have a good experience, the more people that have a good experience with it, they are going to be big proponents of it. They're going to tell other people like, oh, I use this for work. You know, I use this to take the kids around even in some cases. You know, I use this just for fun. You know, I use this for small trips to the grocery store, all that sort of stuff. You know, if people go the other direction and they get a bike that they're not happy with, then that's not very good for, you know, they're going to tell all their friends like, oh, you know, I got this electric bike and boy, it really wasn't that great. You know, we don't like hearing that story because we love electric bikes. They're so much fun. Like I said, we ride them every day, and we want people to feel, you know, we want to transfer our enthusiasm in a way. We want people to be as excited about them as we are. So I'm going to go around this dude on the bike. Okay, we want people to be as excited as we are. And so that's a big part of the reason why we pride ourselves at Blue Monkey Bicycles as being a resource. We want people to spend some time on our site, you know, getting some information from a single source, not because we want to be the only, I mean, that's rather, you know, narrow-minded of us. We don't want to be the only source, but it's very common for people to read a single post or a single comment from one person and not have other information to compare that to. You know, if you hear someone on their comment saying like, oh yeah, I got this bike, oops, I'm sorry, I was on autopilot. This is the way I take to get to work. I cut through this little alley, so I'm sorry, I was on a little bit of autopilot there. Let me back up. Anyways, so if you hear someone say, you know, I got e-bike ABC and I love it and it's great, you don't have a lot of stuff to compare that to. And so we want to provide a lot of content so that people can kind of get the hang for our tastes and our position and our experience, so that they can use that information to make a better buying decision and get a really good electric bike that they're going to be happy with, hopefully for a very long time. So that's our goal. That's what we want from being an electric bike retailer, as well as a resource. A big part of it is an electric bike resource. So here I am at Blue Monkey Bicycles. I'm going to turn off the electric system real quick. I hope this is still going live. All right. Boom. So here's Blue Monkey Bicycles. I'm just going to stop in for a little bit of water. If you can imagine, I've been talking and biking for a couple of hours or hour and a half or whatever, so I could use some water. And I will resume the test. So it's a fun little break. Hey guys. Say,
Mikey,
how you doing?
you're back.
I am. Well, the test is still going. Aw, you're so sweet. So here's a little bit of a view behind the curtain. We just finished, well actually no, we didn't finish anything. We're still in the service area here. The retail space came all the way up to here, but and now we're switching things up so that we got the wall there that we built. We've got the wall going here so that we can work on stuff in the back service area, things like building bikes, such as these. That's cool. That's rather timely.
We're building the Rook.
Ah, okay. What do we get?
3 Rooks.
3 Rooks?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well.
3. No, we have one. We actually have 2 of these 3 bikes that we're going to own.
Oh, all right. Well,
Yeah.
it makes sense. Yeah. All right. Well, let me check the stream. Make sure everything's still going. I haven't checked. Bad connection. I should probably get to the front of the store or something. All right, so I'm getting back towards the front of the store. Hopefully the connection gets a little better. This is a very bad connection. Anything else? All right, so hopefully you can hear me a little bit. Say hi. Hello. So here I am at Blue Monkey Bicycles, the electric bike retailer and resource. Yeah. So I finished about 30 miles on the test so far. The bike is doing fine. You know, the bike is still got plenty of power on it. And like I said, I completed about 30 miles so far. I'm still going to go. I'm just taking a little bit of break for water because, boy, I think I need a career in radio or something like that because I've been talking for like an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever it was. I don't even know what time it is. So, anyways, I'm going to drink a little bit more water. I'm going to head back out on the road. Maybe I'll grab a little bit of Kit Kat because I'm on a break. So, anyways, it still says very bad connection, but I'm assuming something goes through. Hopefully something goes through. All right. All right, so here, I don't know if you're going to see this. This is our wall. That's our Donald Trump wall. We've been joking around. We've been calling it that. Oh boy, that's terrible quality.
Well, right now it's trying to switch to Wi-Fi. If you turn your Wi-Fi off, you'll be good.
I did.
Oh, you did, and it's still?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
So I'm going to grab my break in a bar. All right, we're going to head out again.
See you, Mikey.
See ya. For sure, Mason.
Hey, see ya.
Mason's my favorite. And I can say that with confidence. Okay. Oh. Hey, Miles, if you and Mason want some of those, feel free. Oh, the other one. All right. Gonna jump back on this test. All right, here we go. Back on the beat. All right, so if you're just joining us again, we just got done with a little break. I took a little Kit Kat break for a couple minutes, chugged some water, chugged a little bit of water, and here we are back on the beat again. Looks like everything's still going. It looks like the YouTube is still up and running, which is awesome because I've done 30 miles on the bike so far under full blast pedal assist, and you know it's cooking along, so I'm happy. I was worried because I hadn't checked the what's it called? I hadn't checked YouTube since I stopped way the heck down at the south end of the route. Was the last time because I just like turned around from there, went past the store, turned around in downtown, and here I am. So, anyways, so this all looks familiar. This is what I did like an hour and a half ago or an hour ago or whatever. This is what I was doing a while ago. I'm looped back on this route, and we'll see how far the bike goes. Honestly, I'm thinking it's going to die. I think it's not going to go a whole lot farther. I don't know if it's going to make it 40 miles. I think that's going to be kind of a. I would cautiously say that's too high. You know, it very well, you know, it might do it. That would be a little surprising to me. We went about, well, you know, now that I think about it, I'm stuttering a little bit, but now that I think about it, it might, because going downtown is about 6 miles away, 6 or 7 miles away from the shop. And so that's 14 miles on top of the other 20. So that's 34 miles. So I've done 34 miles, give or take, up to this point. And the battery bar is at about a little over half, not by much, a little over half, maybe 60% or so. And honestly, it was about a little less than half, about 40% when, at least the display showed me about 40% last time I was on this bike and it died. And that was just a few days ago. I don't know how far it went. I don't know what the battery charge level is at. It was under various routes with various riders, so not much to put stock into. But I know how it behaves when it dies, and I know what the display looks like. So we're going to see what it does. So here we are. Oh, that's cool. Old Land Rover. Anyways, so here we are doing the range test in Salt Lake City, Utah, on the Surface 604 COLT. But I'm sure you figured that out by the title of the video. The Surface 604 COLT is one of the cruiser models. They have a few other bikes in their lineup as well. Last I was left off, I was talking about Blue Monkey bicycles. And the video that you're watching is from Blue Monkey Bicycles. This is an independent video, or independent test even, that we're doing. We are not paid for by Surface 604. They didn't send us the bike or anything like that. It's totally independent, so you're not watching a long paid for advertisement. You're watching a long unpaid for advertisement. Anyways, and yeah, this is more or less an advertisement for the Surface 604 COLT. That's the bike that I'm riding right now, and this bike has been pretty comfy. I've been able to keep a pretty good pace pedaling the bike and still being able to talk to you, which is something I probably couldn't do if I was on a really torque-based like mountain bike, or even some of the faster ones that require a lot more effort from you. A lot of fun, but anyways, so here we are on this long test for the Surface 604 COLT, and however long the video is going up to this point is however long it's taken me to get to this point, which is, like I said, about 35 miles out on the test right now. And the bike is 100% stock. I don't have a special battery. I have the stocks. I have the seat that came from the factory even. I didn't change out the seat. I didn't change out the tires or the wheels. Nothing like that. This is how you get it. The only thing missing is a charger. But this is how you get the bike when you order it. And when you order it, especially if you order it from Blue Monkey Bicycles, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. Surface 604 is a company that's really steering towards value, especially with this line of bikes, the COLT and the step-through Rook. You're getting a lot of value out of it. Their carbon fiber bike, I don't know, it's like what, 4,500 or something like that, and the system on it is comparable to something like this at $18.99. So you're paying a lot for carbon fiber. So if carbon fiber is your thing, go for it. But truth be told, in my eyes, not a lot of electric bike riders are really that concerned about weight and carbon fiber. But hey, it looks awesome. It's super slick and black and all that stuff. So that's another fun thing too. And let's face it, sometimes we get things just how they look, and for no other reason. But hopefully nothing too serious, because you can totally get, a dessert or something like that based on how it looks. But try not to get a wife based on how she looks alone. That's it. End of the line. Oh, no, it's going. I still got it. All right, so it's dying. I'm still going. It's still a full power pedal assist, but it died for a little bit there on startup. And that makes perfect sense, because when you're at startup, that's when it's asking for the most energy from the motor. The bike was able to keep going again. I didn't have to stop. I didn't have to turn it on and off again, but I can tell you from experience, this thing is going to die soon. It's going to get to the point where it won't start up again, and I'm going to have to call it good, or call it dead, I should say, which is not bad. The bike has already done somewhere around 35 miles up to this point. I have to go to the computer and check exactly what it has done, but it's going to be pretty darn close. So yeah, the bike is still going under full power. You can see the battery display is down there quite a ways. So what happens is when you use the bike, when you're actively getting energy into the motor, the battery display goes down significantly. When you come to a stop, it rests back up to a higher degree. And so the bike shut down for a second, but it picked itself back up. So it's doing fine. It's still going. I'm still going under full power pedal assist right now. The problem is going to be when I get to a red light, it's going to cut out again. when I have to start out the bike again, it's going to ask for too much energy, and the system's going to freak out and say you don't have that much to give, right? And so when the bike does stop and it won't allow me to pick back up again, that's the line. That's when it's dead. Because you can, like, in a bike like this, you might be able to struggle along for another, I don't know, maybe like half a mile or something like that, by turning the bike off and then turning it back on again, and then turning it off and turning it back on again. But it's extremely impractical, and it's just a very, very rigorous workout in patience, honestly. So anyways, like I had outlined before in my previous experience, the battery level is under half, somewhere around 40%. And this is where, when I was on the bike the other day, I considered it dead, because I was pedaling along and it stopped and it wouldn't pick up power again. And so that's what I'm going to experience very shortly here as I head towards the bridge. Not my favorite place to be along the route, but it is. That's the way it is. So this stoplight very well could be the point at which I say that the bike is dead. And so that's, like I said, somewhere around 35 miles out, because I went 10 miles down a long time ago, like an hour ago. I went 10 miles out and then turned around and then came 10 miles back past the store. Then I went 6 miles towards downtown and then turned around and came 6 miles back, give or take. So that's already, you know, close to 35 right there. And now I may be another mile away from the store, continuing on south. So here we go. Let's see what it does. All right, still full power. Still full power. All right, it's up. Oh, there it goes. Is it gonna pick it back up? Is it gonna pick it back up? Nope. Nope. All right, that's it. Okay. All right, that is the end of the line. So, why does it have to be here? This is like the worst place for the thing to die. Well, it ain't all that bad. All right, so the battery is dead. I'm on full bike mode right now, and it's not picked up again. So you saw earlier that it cut out for a second, but it let me keep going. It let me keep going to the next light. But right when I was crossing the intersection, the thing died out, and it wouldn't let me go anymore. So I'm gonna take this stoplight. I'm gonna go across the crosswalk like a pedestrian, right here, right next to Sam's Club, and get some guns and ammo. Anyways, I didn't hit the crosswalk signal, but I'll just jog it, make it look good, make it look like I'm working. All right, here we go. Let's jump on it. So here I am under no power on the bike because the bike died, and so I'm just going to get out of the bridge over here, get myself into a little bit safer place with some shade, so I can talk a little bit about the bike and how I liked it. Are you turning? You can go ahead and turn if you want. Go ahead. You got it. Is he turning? Okay, cool. All right. So, anyways, yeah, I was on the bike and it just died as I was crossing the intersection right there on Winchester and State Street. And like I said, that's somewhere a little north of 35 total miles. Oh, that poor guy. He thought that the lane kept going, but it doesn't. So I'm gonna get off the bridge. So, all right. So let's get to some shade so I can talk a little bit. Well, I'm pretty sure they're not honking at me, unless it's someone I know. All right. Here we go. Do some off-road adventure. Boom. Okay. Whew. Okay, so thank you for joining me on the this live range test for the where is it there? Is that it? I can't see all that well. There it is. The Surface 604 COLT. So the Surface 604 COLT, like I said, was able to do somewhere around 35 miles, a little bit more than 35 miles. This is what I experienced just now as you were watching this test. And it was a pretty comfy pace. It has plenty of power, it's got plenty of guts to do it. And when the battery died, it more or less died on the spot. It didn't drag it out under a long, drawn-out death or anything like that. It just stopped, and that's what it did. So that's the range test. That's very, that's typical. A lot of other bikes would do something like that. So if you're interested in the Surface 604 and you're wondering like, well, the price point is kind of low and it seems a little too good to be true, I can tell you from experience, real-time experience, that if range is one of the things that you're worried about, you really don't. This bike, the Surface 604 COLT, where is it? There it is. The Surface 604 COLT did fine. It did great. It did just as good as all the other electric bikes that I've tried, and a lot of them are at a much higher price point. So if you like the way it looks, if you're worried about range, don't be. It's a really good electric bike that I've been able to test out here, and you've been able to watch with me. So hopefully, if this goes over well, we're going to do a lot of other range tests, and you'll be able to see in real time what they do. So again, thanks you for joining me on the Surface 604 range test for the COLT bike. Stay tuned for other stuff to our YouTube channel from Blue Monkey Bicycles. And if you like this a lot, go ahead and go to our website and buy one, please. But seriously though, if you do buy some stuff from our store, it makes it more possible for us to make awesome content like this. So yeah, thanks again, and big shout out to my homeboys out there. D-Dog, Tank, no, I'm just kidding. Thanks to all my friends out there. Sam at Surface 604, he's been a big support for us. Trevor at Surface 604 for getting the word out for some people to watch this. Of course, the crew at Blue Monkey Bicycles, Dwayne, Miles, Joey, Mason, even Cody. If you're watching this, he was our service tech last year. Good guy. Anyways, thanks again. I'll catch you guys later on the next range test, and I will see you on the later. Now I'll take the microphone off and press the stop button. Boom.